All right, King Killers, we're covering chapters Interlude 3 through chapter 12 of the Wave Kings in this episode. We go through a Szeth chapter and find out the great fun he's been up to since the years since the assassination of Gavilar. Then we meet Dalinar, Adolin, Renarin, Elhokar, Sadeas, and Wit as they hunt a chasmfiend. And you're also going to hear about Tim's amazing sales record, what football would be like with shardplate, and Adolin double dipping. So sit back and enjoy. All right, welcome back to the King Killer podcast. I'm Dan. Got with me the number one banana hammock salesman in the United States. He just set the world record last week. Tim, what's going on?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, this is definitely the time. The winter months is the time to sell banana hammocks.
That's what makes this so remarkable is you set the world record in winter.
Yep. So what you do is you open up with, hey, buy during the off season, get a better deal, and then you got to slim down to fit into them shits. But nothing looks so good or feels so nice as a nice banana hammock, banana hammock.
I like to wear them just for shopping.
Just for.
It's good shopping. I like to be comfortable when I'm shopping and buying groceries, and so that's kind of where I usually wear them.
I mean, it's a good look. The executive look. Going out there looking your best. That's what you go for. It reminds me of back in the 50s where everybody wore suits.
Yeah,
when they went out shopping.
I feel like I'm wearing a suit when I'm walking through a grocery store wearing a banana hammock. I feel like I'm one of those guys from the 1930s wearing a suit and hat and everything. I feel very sophisticated.
I don't think people are looking at you that way though. Because they're even more impressed is what I'm saying.
Agree to disagree.
And there's a lot of envy, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Did you see that guy?
He's just living his best life.
What the fuck?
So let's see. We are. Let's get our update on where you're at in these books.
I don't really know exactly how far I am through book 2. It feels like maybe almost a quarter of the way, but probably short of that. The last parts that I remember reading, Adolin dueled some dude that he seems to be underestimated in his duels, and he fucked this dude up without a shard blade. He didn't use a shard blade and fucked this guy up like really bad. And those who were judging really frowned upon his demeanor and his approach because he just went straight at him. There was no grace or class involved. He just fucking rolled over him, and it was great. It was really fun to read. The Shallan. Now, okay, so in the books, it seems like Yasna dies. I have a feeling she died, and to me it feels like she's not gone. And maybe I'm wrong about that, but it almost feels like a Obi-Wan Kenobi thing. Like now that she's gone, she'll be more powerful. I don't really know because according to where I've read, she's technically in Shallan's eyes dead. And Shallan's still kind of still a bit in shock over it, but she's with Tavlakov, roaming the Shattered Plains with, she just basically told Tavlakov, you're going to fucking take me where I need to go, and trying to, do her best Yasna impression. Jasna,
yeah, I like that aspect of that she meets up with fucking Kaladin's fucking good old buddy.
Slaver. Yeah. His buddy, yeah, they're best buds. But yeah, that's some good stuff. Shallan's still like coming into her own, but then there's the whole pattern. So it's almost, dude. It very much feels like she has her own sill, right, with pattern,
Yes.
and so that whole element's coming in. Shadesmar, that whole sort of element and how she's figuring out her place in the world and what she's capable of.
I am a
It's pretty
stick.
cool. Yeah. I just went through one of those, and then there were a few interlude chapters which kind of took me out and then brought me back in, but they were good. They were really interesting. And then now you have the Parshendi. You're in some of the Parshendi chapters where you're starting to get more about their world and how they function. Like book 1, they're just like this mysterious other side, and then we find out from Yasna that there's much more to it. That's kind of where the book ends, is like unite them. That's the thing, right? And now we're getting more of the Parshendi and being able to actually be in their circle with their shard bearer. I don't remember her name. But yeah, the world's bigger. The world keeps getting bigger. It's cool. It's fucking great. So far, books 2 is awesome. It definitely picked up from where book 1 left off. Adolin's awesome. He becomes even cooler than he was in the first. And actually, so I think like the most recent thing was Kaladin and Adolin were having kind of they were button heads. That was like the last thing I read. It was like in the middle of that, and I had to put it down.
Yeah, they're Aelin's pissed at him because Kaladin told him to fucking snap to when they were in that fucking, that battle, and he fucking obeyed him, and he's been fucking stewing over that ever since.
Yeah, I guess one of the last lines I remembered was Adolin was like, you basically was saying you addressed his father. Kaladin addressed his father appropriately. He's like, yeah, he's my superior. And he's like, what about me? He's like, well, I'll do what you ask if it's, it's not too much.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm not your, I'm not your.
If it was something I was going to do anyways, then yes, I will do it.
Yeah, it's, so yeah, I'm kind of in the middle of that. I didn't want to have to stop, but I didn't really have a choice. I had other shit going on, but yeah, it's great. The whole, and Amaram. So Amaram came in, and so Kaladin and Syl are going back and forth where he's like, what the fuck? What am I supposed to say? I'm going to go up to... He's still short-sighting Dalinar to a pretty great degree, because he's like, what am I going to do? Just go up to him and tell him Amaran's, what his experience was like with Amaran? He's not going to believe me. He's light eyes. He's going to take his side, like, automatically. Yeah. It's like, man, I mean, having... how much we've read of Dalinar, we know that's not really the case. He's much more open-minded than Kaladin's given him credit for, but... Obviously, Kaladin has his reasons to feel the way he feels.
Well, and Kaladin felt that way about Amaran, and that was Amaram's reputation.
Yeah, well, and he says that, but then also he kind of reminds himself, yeah, Dalinar did give up his shardblade, though, so that's no fucking small pittance, man.
No.
That's a massive gesture save you guys, basically. So, yeah, it's the politics and everything are still fleshing out. It's fucking great.
Kaladin should read the books, and that way he could be in Dalinar's head and get a better sense of who he actually is.
Yeah, Kaladin is he's a grudge holding motherfucker, man. Like and not only that, he stays butthurt.
Yeah.
Which is a fucking understatement when he had what Amaram did to him. It's not like it's a small thing.
Yeah.
It's like he cut him in line or something.
Yeah. He fucking tied his shoelaces together.
He fucking knocked his...
Never been able to get over it.
He knocked his slushy out of his hands, kicked him in the nuts. That's basically the equivalent of what Amaram did to him.
It's exactly the same thing. He said mean things to him online.
Yeah, I feel his pain. But he needs to get over it, be the bigger man. He's also 17 or 19 something.
Yeah, I've had people cut me in line, and I didn't fucking hold it against them for the rest of their life. I got over
it. The equivalent of killing all your friends and your family. That's still
it's basically the same thing. Like I hate. You got to understand how much I hate lines.
Actually, we've covered that.
Yeah.
In some previous episodes. I mean, you've just straight up left a whole cart of groceries because there's a line. So
I
yeah,
have on multiple occasions. I've walked up and saw like I was going to be standing in line for like 20 minutes, and I was like, "Well, I'm not buying groceries today." Then
yeah. I mean that it's not exactly the same, but it's pretty close to being in that slave
it's
cart.
exactly the same thing. Me and Kaladin have lived almost the exact same life. That's why I relate so much to him.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
And speaking of people who have it mildly bad, we starting off with a Szeth chapter this episode. We're starting with Interlude 1-3, or Interlude 3, The Glory of Ignorance. And in this one, we meet back up with Szeth, find out his current circumstances of being the slave to a big old douchebag and who underutilizes him to a massive degree. And
Yeah.
we kind of get a little bit of the backstory of what's been going on since he assassinated Gavilar.
Yeah, and like you were alluding to, Szeth's in a real sweet position here, sitting on a wooden floor, pants slowly soaking in beer. He's basically dressed in rags. He's filthy. Pretty sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds so. Surprisingly, he goes through and he lists how awful this shit is. And he's like, man, thank God. Thank God this is my fucking lot in life. Could be so much worse if this guy knew what I'm actually capable of.
Yeah, he's an interesting, I mean, to say the least, he's a really interesting character where, he was hoping, not to jump too far ahead, but he's basically, when he was found, he was hoping they would assassinate him.
Yeah.
Or, he was hoping they would, kill him, execute him for what he did. But that's not what happens. And,
No, it's crazy. It's been years since he's called his shardplate. I mean, so that gives you an idea of how much he detests what people have him do, and to the fact that he doesn't just call it on his own. He doesn't let people know what he's capable of. He fucking keeps all that shit secret. I mean, this is an extremely powerful guy, and he's completely ruled by a rock.
yeah, that's crazy. I like so the way that he puts it there is if he looked like a wretch, people treated him like wait. If he looked like a wretch, people treated him as a wretch. One did not ask a wretch to assassinate people.
Yeah.
And then yeah, the douchey his his master here. He's such a douche. Just starts basically making him do little tricks, little parlor tricks in the tavern.
Like this guy is, like he says, the man's clothing was little better than Szeth's, covered with so much dirt and dust that it was difficult to tell grimy skin from grimy clothes. Like this, the guy who has the most powerful one of, if not the most powerful fucking dudes on the planet. A guy that just rolled through and the king's guard, and the king who has shard plate and a shard blade, and you've seen how fucking powerful one of those guys can be. And Szeth just fucking mauled this group. Although
Yeah,
Gavilar did get in some good damage on his own. He did do a little bit of damage on Szeth, broke that fucking jaw of Szeth's. But still, Szeth's one of the most powerful guys on the planet, and he's being ruled by a fucking dude that's just barely above being a bum on the street.
yeah, it's so interesting how it seems like it's just luck of the draw that somebody comes and owns this dude. And it seems like Zespin basically he's had owner after owner after owner, and they all. I mean, I understand. I mean, they give some reasoning to the effect of like, well, they can tell he knows much more than, or he's so much more capable than they are, or someone in his position shouldn't be as knowledgeable or as capable as he is, and it makes them uncomfortable. But man, still, like, he's better, like they say. Like he even says, he's like a slave, only better.
Yeah.
Because he can do anything. You don't have to pay him anything, and he'll do whatever you say.
Yeah,
There's
and
a lot of utility in that.
he's educated, he's skilled, he's knowledgeable. Like I mean, he's very useful, and he's extremely underutilized. He's useful to the point where this dude could fucking rule the world if he understood what Szeth's capabilities were and he utilized them.
Yeah, I was thinking they do give a little bit more detail about Szeth and how he's Shin, right? Isn't that what he is? Shin?
Yeah. Yeah.
And how Shin basically looked like, the way it sounded like to me, he looks like a little baby man. Like he's got big eyes like a baby. Got big eyes like a baby, and he's bald, I think. I think they said he's 35, but he's rather short as well. And he called him Kerp, which I don't know if you've ever watched the Kyle Dunnigan show, but there's a character named Kerp. So that's what made me think of.
The what show?
Kyle Dunnigan. So Kyle Dunnigan does a bunch of characters, and one of them's Sylvester Stallone. And Sylvester Stallone does his show out of his home.
He calls him Kerp, instead of Kurt.
The guy, instead of, who's the comedian?
Kurt Messenger.
Kurt Metzger. And he lives in Sylvester Stallone's garage, and he calls him Kerp. Not much more to that, but I saw Kerp, and I was like, okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all look like little fucking baby men, but
little baby men.
He's a little more capable. And then I like
baby man.
Yeah, and I like this. This is the utility this guy gets out of Szeth. I mean, this is how underutilized. He's like using him for a little fucking to show off at a bar in the most menial ways. Like, here, watch this. Stand up, jump up and down, pour a beer on your head. Like, dude, what are you doing? Fucking jackass. Dude, you're a douche.
I started to think of little stupid things to do. He could be fun, have him go spank some stranger, spit in somebody's beer. And then I was thinking, like, if they have a jukebox, play like Celine Dion and then sob while dancing by herself.
Yeah, it would be more that kind of stuff. Funny stuff. Like, yes, singing, like have him serenade somebody's wife in front of them.
Outrageously uncomfortable things in public.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be those kind of things. It would be more like the prank show where the group of guys tell the other person what to do, and they got to fucking do what they say.
I mean, it'd be a lot of that, and then it would also be like, all right, go, you see that that money truck that just rolled by? Yeah, go take the bag of money and bring it back to me.
Oh, that's because you're a fucking scumbag thief.
Well,
you're a bad person.
Okay, but I'm saying like reasonable utility from this dude rather than just making a stupid ass story.
Yeah, like I said, if he wanted to, he could fucking rule the world because like Szeth could fucking be a master thief. He could build a massive amount of wealth and hire armies.
Well, and it sounds like the hardest person to kill in that world, at least that we've seen, would be the king. He's got a king's guard. He's in a freaking castle. It's not like it's easy to get to him. I mean, we read Szeth doing all of that. If he can do that, he can kill anybody. If that's what you're looking to have happen, So,
yeah, but even beyond assassination, you could be stacking. He could just steal wealth. He could steal gemstones from people and just stack wealth, and you could just hire armies and build your own kingdom.
Yeah. Or you can have them jump up and down at a bar and throw beer on people's heads.
Yeah. And throw beer on your head.
Oh, each his own, I guess.
Yeah. Like, oh, man,
Float
dude.
your boat. Although, the interesting...
Taravangian had a much more grand plan than this dude.
So it gets really interesting when they take it up a few notches, and he's like, go ahead, cut your throat. You're like, oh, Jesus. And then we learn more about, I am forbidden to take my own life as truthless. It is the nature of my suffering to be forbidden the taste of death by my own hand. And we get that a few times as truthless. And I am curious, I mean, or brings the question up, what did he do to deserve this? Like where he's at to be truthless.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's already been brought up in the. Obviously, that's something you find out, but I'm
Yeah,
not
I
sure if
imagine.
you've come across it and missed it, or if you just haven't got to it yet. So
I do,
I don't want to say it in case
yeah.
you get there, but eventually, yeah, you figure out why he's called truthless.
I did get more. I do remember I did get more about him towards the end of book one. I started going through it really quick because it was awesome, but I don't think I got like the actual, hard reason or
Yeah,
defining
I know you have it.
event.
I know you have it by the end of book two, but I don't remember exactly when you figure out why he's called truthless.
Right on.
But you do figure that out. But yeah, he's not allowed to kill himself, and then we find out he was not even allowed to make it easy for someone else to kill him. He has to make it as difficult as possible, and he talked about that in the very first chapter when he's fighting Gavilar's his honor guard or whatever. Like he talks about like he has to put up as hard a fight as he can, and it's all like he's not like magically bound by this. This is just a duty that he adheres to. So
Yeah, I
it's
was gonna
a,
say.
a duty of his own devising.
I was gonna say that's that's really interesting, and it points that out. His honor had forced him to discard his white clothing, as it would have made him easier to recognize. So his honor, it's not like he can't kill himself. How he's not, that's a different stage of it. It's just literally his own code. That's saying a
Yeah,
lot
or
about this
it
character.
can be a code that's enforced on him, but it's not magically enforced on him.
Well,
Like
no, that's what yeah.
he's the only one that can make him abide by this code. No one can physically make him abide. He's by himself. So if he wanted to, he could break his code, but he's so committed to his version of honor that he's unwilling to break his code, even though he's an extremely suicidal person who wishes he was dead rather than doing what he's doing. Even in that state, he won't do it out of a sense of honor.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, the way it says there is he had to preserve himself so that he could suffer.
Yeah,
This is like another layer. I mean, this is deep recession of depression here. Like the
yeah,
inner layers of hell. It's crazy.
but it's all it largely stems from the things that he's been commanded to do, and had he could have just not done them,
Mm-hmm.
could have not done them, and then he, instead of feeling such remorse for the horrible acts he's committed, he could feel remorse because he didn't do those things. Like, I think I would rather feel that kind of remorse,
Yeah,
that,
rather than
oh man, I
haunted by
broke
the
my honor and
reality.
didn't. If you're gonna feel bad either way, I'm gonna choose the one that doesn't have me like a homicidal maniac.
Yeah, yeah, you're not haunted by the deaths that are on your, on your soul.
Yeah,
The,
it's
the
like,
visions of what you've done to
when
people.
you break it down, the guy's kind of fucking insane. He's not, he
Well, and
his version of honor is so fucked up, so fucked up.
that's why it's really interesting to consider, where that all stems from. Yeah, that's why I'm pretty convinced that I must not have come across that yet, because it's got to be quite defining. It's got to leave quite the impression. I would imagine, or he kind of didn't do a tremendous job of making that case, which give him credit to think he would do that.
He's got a fucking bizarre code of conduct that he abides to. It just, to me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense if you're a rational person, but that's obviously a bit insane. So like, he does some weird shit. But I like this dude too, where he's like, and the guys ask him, so how'd you come by him then? He's like, oh, no, that's a story. Oi was traveling in the mountains down south, and Oi heard this weird howling noise. It was Joust the Wind, and the tale was a complete fabrication. Szeth's previous master, a farmer in a nearby village, had traded Szeth to Took for a sack of seeds. The farmer had gotten him from a traveling merchant, who'd gotten him from a cobbler, who'd won him in an illegal game of chance. There'd been dozens before him. They got the most powerful man on the fucking planet, and they trade him for a fucking sack of seeds.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's talk about not knowing the value of what you have. Jeez.
Fucking trading the world's largest diamond for, a Kit Kat bar. Now, granted, a fucking Kit Kat bar can be delicious, but could have bought a lot more Kit Kat bars.
Well, that sack of seeds, that sack of seeds is going to plant a whole bunch of Kit Kat bar equivalents.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to do it on your own instead of having this dude do it.
Should have got 30 farms already fucking seeded and crop grown for Szeth, and all the men to work those fields. Should have fucking had a king's ransom.
So to that point, they talk about how the Parshendi tossed his oath stone away as they fled Kholinar. So I'm trying to replay that in my mind. So all right. So he kills Gavilar, and one of the Parshendi would have Szeth's oath stone.
The Parshendi had the oath stone, and that's how they commanded him to kill Gavilar. And then after he did it, they just tossed it away. And then he had to go retrieve it and give it, and then the first person who came up to him, he had to give it to them.
Got it. I do remember I come across a point. Oh wait, I think it's in these chapters where somebody comes across the oath stone, right? Do we even see it here?
He talks about how he goes and gets it. It's in this chapter. Okay. He talks about it, but the thing is, like, he's getting traded. He goes and gets it and then gives it to a guy, and then it just keeps getting traded from person to person. And he talks about, at first, the dark-eyed commoners enjoyed the novelty of owning him. Slaves were far too expensive for most, and parshmen were even more valuable. So having someone like Szeth to order around was quite the novelty. He cleaned floors, sawed wood, helped in the fields, and carried burdens. Some treated him well, some did not, but they always got rid of him. Perhaps they could sense the truth that he was capable of so much more than they dared use him for. It was one thing to have a slave of your own, but when the slave talked like Light Eyes and knew more than you did, it made them uncomfortable. But then he's like, what would these men say if they knew that the man who emptied their chamber pot was a shard bearer and a surge binder, a wind runner, like the radiance of old? The moment he summoned his blade, his eyes would turn from dark green to pale, almost glowing sapphire, a unique effect of his particular weapon. So this is where we get that he's a wind runner, a surge binder, which is, the surge binders are people who have powers, basically, like Shallan or Yasna or Kaladin. Mm-hmm. They're all surge binders. And wind runners are the people who can, like, change what's up and down, change gravity, and basically fly, that kind of shit.
It's really, it's fucking awesome the way Sanderson does it, where we get to be there with Kaladin, learning that he has these capabilities. Same thing with Shallan. With this example, we see it, and he puts it in early, so we do see the things that they end up being capable of through Szeth, but we don't get that experience of, obviously, we, at least not here, we may go and show us prequels as we read on, but of how he developed it,
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting just watching Kaladin and the as he's, like, developing his powers, because you see what Szeth is capable of from the very first fucking chapter. And then you're seeing Kaladin start to do some of these things that Szeth is capable of. Obviously, Szeth has got the shard blade, which takes it to a whole nother level when you have a weapon like that. But just the capabilities of the surge binding are immense. We've seen, you can fucking change the gravity of people when you're fighting someone. And just think it like Szeth when he touches that guy and sends him up to the ceiling. Well, what if there's no ceiling?
Yeah. Well, and
what if he's outside? Like you just touch that guy and fucking turn gravity, to the sky. So he just starts falling upwards.
So one of the chapters I just read is Kaladin fighting his troop, and they're fighting to experiment to see the capabilities of what Kaladin can do. And like he's putting the one dude up on the wall, having him stick there, and he's taking like a spear, having it stick to the floor, and then having it propel one way. So it's like he's experimenting with all these abilities, and it helps us to see it so much more clearly because we're seeing him experiment with it. We see Szeth, and it's an expert. It's a guy that knows exactly what he's doing, and he does it so fluidly. And like you said, we read that in the beginning of the book. So to be able to get that initially, and it's like, what the fuck is this world? It's awesome because it kind of blows your nips off to be like, so in this world they can do all these things. Wow, this is insane. Like, and then you come to find out like, oh, that not everybody can do this, but the capabilities in the world. And then to find out that it's not just one guy either. It's, the Radiants or what have you. It's Jasnah and Shallan and Kaladin have these capabilities. They're tapping into them, and with the help of Syl and all these other things. So it's pretty great, man. The way that Sanderson delivers it is awesome.
Well, and especially you see how deadly Szeth is with it, but you also see how deadly Kaladin is just as a fighter. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Like
and a lot of it's defensive.
Yeah,
a lot of what he does is just defensive.
Well, but also when he goes in and he has to, save Dalinar, like he goes on the offensive in that, and he was just wrecking fucking people.
But even in that,
without a shard plate, without shard plate or a shard
nuts.
Plate, he was just wrecking people with a spear.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, but even in that context, he's still using it to save lives, right? Like with the shield.
Oh yeah, I thought you meant he's more of a defensive fighter.
No. What I'm
I got what you're saying now. Yeah, it's really trying to defend others. Yeah,
it's really cool how Kaladin is as a character because yes, he's a soldier and he's a tremendous fucking soldier, but he was brought up as the surgeon's son, and that whole dichotomy of save lives or kill people to save lives, and that whole complexity. And then he comes from that stance of trying to save everybody in Bridge 4 and save as many people as he possibly can. And then it kills more people. And that just how that all plays out, it's fucking great. And even when he's saving Dalinar's men, a big part of that is saving them and then having to be offensive to save them, which is, again, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool watching that whole development. And then I like it with Szeth here where he's like, he gloried in being wasted. Each day he was made to clean or dig instead of kill was a victory. That evening 5 years ago still haunted him. Before then he had been ordered to kill, but always in secret, silently. Never before had he been given such a deliberately terrible instructions. Kill, destroy, and cut your way to the king. Be seen doing it. Leave witnesses. Wounded, but alive. And, that's what makes him interesting is because he clearly knows doing that was evil and he doesn't want to do it. But because of his fucked up, weird sense of honor, he will do shit that makes him want to kill himself. He will do those things rather than to him, like breaking his word is worse. Like, I don't understand how that would be worse, but
yeah.
Be like
used as a tool to do evil things is less bad than the alternative. Yeah, that's nuts.
It's like, why did you murder that entire family? Well, I owed you $2 and I couldn't break my word, and that was the only way I could get the $2.
It's the type of thing that in like contemporary literature or film or TV, they have to have something over you that would threaten people you care about. Therefore, you do these evil things.
Yeah, it does. Like the idea that breaking your word is worse than doing something that makes you want to kill yourself is
that's nuts.
Preposterous to any sane person.
And then also knowing what you're doing is evil. You're doing evil acts, and you know they're evil acts, yet you're doing them because to not do them would be violating this honor code that you have. It's crazy.
It's like if someone went up to you and they were like, like, hey man, I will do anything you want, anything, just ask, I'll do anything you need. Like, say like you're, someone, you have a death in the family and they're like, anything you need, just let me know. Like, okay, go kill my boss. No, I'm not going to do that. Like, well, you're going to break your word? You just said anything.
Yeah, within reason. Within reason.
Yeah, exactly. Szeth is,
I thought you wanted to borrow my PlayStation.
Is completely out. Like, he meant it literally.
I thought you wanted to borrow my Xbox, not have me murder somebody.
Yeah.
You're going way too far here, man.
Szeth is like, man, I wish I wouldn't have said anything. I should have put a conditional. Stupid me. I always get myself into this.
Oh, shit.
But yeah, so he's got that fucked up sense of honor. But, and this guy, like, is just, it's hilarious. Just the aspect of this total wretch of a person who's just, is extremely poor, like doesn't have anything, seems like a complete jackass, likes to fucking one of those jackasses likes to brag all the fucking time, make up stories,
constantly annoying stories.
Yeah.
Well, and what's really interesting about it too, he's making up all these stories. That's like, yeah, it's all true. It's all, and so it's the best thing he can come up with. And he's got Szeth doing all these things, which would be entertaining for others to witness. But even still, they're like, he eventually like people don't want to be around him. I mean, we get that impression that eventually it's just like people are done listening to his fucking stories, and he just kind of moves on. And it sounds like the impression we get is he just does this round of taverns.
Yeah, but, I mean, he uses Szeth like a fucking little crutch to get people to listen to him.
It's pretty funny too, because Szeth talks about how all these other masters would feel uncomfortable, yet with this Took guy, Szeth didn't make him uncomfortable. He apparently considered it natural that Szeth obeyed him.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of person is that?
Yeah.
Like, that's nuts, man.
But yeah, and then so he talks about, like, had the Parshendi known what they were consigning him to by tossing his oath stone away as they fled Dalinar that night, Szeth had been required to recover it, then stand there by the road wondering if he would be discovered and executed, hoping he'd be discovered and executed, until a passing merchant had cared enough to inquire. By then, Szeth had stood only in a loincloth. His honor had forced him to discard the white clothing, as it would have made him easier to recognize. He had to preserve himself so that he could suffer. And so
that's nuts.
And then it says, after a short explanation that left out incriminating details, Szeth had found himself riding in the back of the merchant's car. The merchant, a man named Avado, had been clever enough to realize that in the wake of the king's death, foreigners might be treated poorly. He made his way to Yakoved, never knowing that he harbored Gavilar's murderer as his serving man. And because he's this boy man, no one even questions that he would be the assassin in white.
Yeah, everybody would be you would think everybody would be looking for some dude that looks like a soldier.
Yeah, some fucking badass, not some fucking man boy.
Yeah. Little do they know, how wrong they are. But that's talk about hiding in plain sight. That's an effective way.
Plus, the Alethi assume that he went with the Parshendi, that he was one of them, or with them at least, and so they were going after chasing them down. And so when he's not with them, that kind of fucking threw them off the scent. Like, they kind of assume that he's probably still with the Parshendi, and then after after a few years, you got to be like, well, where the fuck is this guy? Why aren't they unleashing him?
Yeah.
And what the fuck are the Parshendi? What a stupid move! Like you do something that is clearly going to set you up for war. Like, why would you throw that Oathstone away? What a massive, colossal blunder!
It's very strange to assume. Well, my assumption is these things are done intentionally. Which again, yeah, it looks like a blunder, but then that kind of makes me think like, what's the bigger plan here? Because what the fuck? Like, why they just had a alliance, right? Like the right previous to this.
Yeah. Regardless, though, like what if Dalinar had picked up the Oathstone?
Yeah.
And you just killed his fucking brother, and now one of the most dangerous people on the planet in Dalinar picks it up, and now he has the assassin in white at his disposal.
Yeah, that's a hard one to. That's a hard one to kind of figure why that risk, or it's not even risk. Well, it is a risk, but it's also just like
stupidity. It's just
it's
stupid. Like, even if you're gonna get rid of it, you don't fucking like get rid of it, right there where the Alethi are. It's just pure luck that some Alethi soldier didn't pick it up, or didn't come across him.
You think you'd keep him. I mean, I guess it's incriminating, but you wanted them to know anyway. So you'd think you'd keep him. He's a very valuable tool. Yeah. He's lethal as shit.
Even if you don't want to use him, like once the Alethi come and bring their whole army and they're trying to wipe you out, you'd be like, fucking go kill all their high princes.
See, so I guess because that seems so stupid, it tells me there's something more, or it gives me the impression that there's something more to the Parshendi. That they're very, very, very different. They see the world differently, or their logic system is different, or their honor system. Like it implies that to me because it's so strange.
I can see, like, all right, we're getting rid of it because we're not these people. We're not, we did it in this one situation, but this is not who we are. So we're not going to keep this and keep utilizing this guy, to lay waste to people. But why would you throw the fucking Oathstone right on the Alethi's door? Like, it's pure luck that they didn't get it.
Yeah, and I love the idea that, look, this isn't us. We just did this. This isn't our thing.
There's one time we're not murderers, except for once, and very viciously. And we did tell him to, make a big show of it and fucking be as brutal as possible. But that is not who we are deep down.
That's that's a really funny example of when people do project that, where it's like, look, man, but that's not really me. But that's what you did. But that's not really me. But I guess it is though, because you did do it. But but that's not really. I didn't want to. I was reluctant. Well, that's kind of defining who you are then, because you're willing to go there, bro. That's kind of the whole point of this.
It's not what you do in the easy times. It's what you do in the hard times that defines you.
I remember,
Anybody can, not fucking rob a bank when they're flush with cash.
I worked with a guy once there was a certain situation where basically he was kind of screwing me on a deal, and he's like, man, I hate these moral questions. And we're sitting there in like our boss's office, and I'm like, man, so what does that say about you, Steve? Like, oh man, I hate these moral dilemmas. Well, this is your chance.
Yeah.
Here you go. You get to be a good person, or you get to be a shyster son of a bitch. So this is your chance to choose between the two. Oh, I hate this so much. Yeah, it's difficult. That's why it's defining.
Yeah.
That's why it's important. If it was easy, it wouldn't be a defining moment. It's easy to do the easy thing, fuckface. This is... Yeah, that's a good example that you point out. So the Parshendi, that's why I'm saying they're clearly different. We get that in so many ways, and book 2 you start to see it even clearer. I really like how book 1 really continues to proceed towards they're all singing the same song at the same time while in battle.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really different it's a really interesting thing to picture and to try to kind of make sense of, because you're in the middle of a battle and you're just calmly singing a song, very different,
And it seems to be like a lot of it seems to be almost internal, like
Yeah, it's like a trance.
Yeah, it's like it's internally passing, the song between them, because it's like the other, the humans don't even, seem to notice. Like they can hear like they're doing a song and chant and stuff during battles and stuff, but seems to be more going on with that.
Yeah, it seems like it's kind of keeps them all as one, and
Yeah.
there's like this interconnection going on, which, yeah, again, it's really quite interesting to weave that in there, as Sanderson does.
Yeah, and then so the rest of this guy's drinking buddies get tired of him and they dip out, and so they start heading out, and talks about the tale always discomforted Szeth, as it reminded him of the strange black sphere Gavilar had given him. He'd hidden that away carefully in Yakaved. He didn't know what it was, but he didn't want to take a risk of he didn't want to risk a master taking it from him. So that's one of those ones where you don't find out what the fuck's up with that thing until quite a while into the series. But eventually we will find out what that fucking black sphere is.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because I thought maybe I missed something, but I guess
No, it's something to pay attention to, because by the time it comes back around, it's easy to have forgotten what the fuck it is. Have forgotten all about it.
Well, I mean, it helps. Black Sphere, it's something that kind of does stick in your mind, at least for me. And then also mention the Night Watcher. So those were all things that I had question marks on.
Yeah, the Night Watcher is another one you find out more as you go. It's a little bit into the series before you find out exactly what the Night Watcher is. They start talking about the Night Watcher, and then you eventually find more about what they're talking about. But yeah, and then so Szeth looked over his shoulder, wishing that the second sister, known as Noman to the Easterners, had risen to give him a little more light. And so you got multiple moons in this world.
3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 3 moons.
And it sounds like, well, as they mentioned, Noman to the east, these Easterners, so they have different names in different areas.
Yeah, I think they call it Prophet. I think other people call it Prophet or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the name of it is, but Prophet's popping in my head. But yeah, and then so he sees that, a warm liquid was pooling beneath his master's body. Only then did he notice the knife in Took's neck. And so some other group of guys kill his master and then come up on him. And they're like, we should fucking kill this dude. And then, and they go, the one with the knife raised his weapon again. He could still yell. Then why hasn't he? Oh, I'm telling you, they're harmless, almost like parchment. We can sell him. Maybe, the second said. He's terrified. Look at him. Come here. Come here. The first footpad said, waving Szeth forward. He obeyed, walking into the alley, which was suddenly illuminated as the other footpads pulled open Took's pouch. Collect, one of them said. Hardly worth the effort. A handful of chips and 2 marks. Not a single brome in the lot. Well, I'm telling you, the first man said, we can sell this fellow as a slave. People like Shin servants. He's just a kid. Nah, they all look like that. Hey, what you got? What you got there? The man plucked a twinkling sphere-sized chunk of rock from the hand of the man, counting the spheres. It was fairly ordinary, a simple piece of rock with a few quartz crystals set into it and a rusty vein of iron on one side. What is this? Worthless, one of the men said. I'm required to tell you, Szeth said quietly, that you are holding my oath stone. So long as you possess it, you are my master. What's that? One of the footpads said, standing. Your master? What does that mean exactly in precise terms and all? I must obey you in all things, though I will not fall in order to kill myself. He also couldn't be ordered to give up his blade, but there was no need to mention that at the moment. And so, dude, well, ain't that something interesting? The man said, musing. Something interesting indeed. So now he's left with a murderer.
Yeah, he's really rubbing elbows with the The elites these days. Hanging
Yeah,
out in alleys, getting nearly murked, and changing hands. So picturing when they call him a kid, so I don't know why I've pictured him basically all throughout as being, I don't know, normal height, but I assume he's actually quite short, right?
Yeah.
If he looks like a kid. I know I get he's bald and has big eyes, but I guess he's also like,
Yeah, he's
short.
probably like I always picture him as like your height, like 4'9". And like the Lethe are tall like me. And
when you consider, so when I read the first chapter, or when I read that first chapter with Szeth, I did not picture him as short. I don't feel like that point was made, right? So when I'm picturing this dude doing all those things, I'm not picturing this, abnormally short person doing these things.
Yeah.
But once you read this, it is like you kind of have to then, at least in my mind, I have to like recast the way I saw that. Because now it's like Yoda's jumping around doing this shit.
Yeah, I always picture like that fucking kid from the Airbender cartoons.
Never saw it.
Well, like there's main characters, like a short little bald kid, like that, like a little Tibetan kid in the movie with Eddie Murphy, The Last Child or something like that.
Golden Child.
Golden Child, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Picture like a little guy like that. Right. But like a little bit sturdier man child.
He's 35, right?
Yeah.
He's the baby man.
Little baby man.
Apparently that, the ability to breathe in Stormlight is one hell of a performance-enhancing drug.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. Cause, yeah, you don't expect like little baby man to be like this dominant fucking fighter without all the extra bonus powers that he gets.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, man.
But that's all I got on old Szeth.
Yep.
All right, so moving on, we're going into part 2. The first chapter is chapter 12. And in this chapter, we're going to meet Dalinar, Adolin, Renarin, Sadeas, and Elhokar. Also, Wit shows up. And they are on the hunt for a chasmfiend. Or a chasmfiend.
Yeah, it's pretty real. All right. It's long. It's a long chapter. A lot goes on. We get to know a lot of different people. But
he does a really good job setting the stage for these guys, because a lot of times it could take a minute. Like you get so used to Shallan and Kaladin in the first part, and now you got a whole new host of characters who you've only kind of heard about, through the grapevine with Kaladin, and you're getting introduced to them for the first time, but it starts off with such a fucking big bang that it introduces them in a big way really quickly. But before we get into the chapter, like the beginning of it, it starts off with, "Old friend, I hope this missive finds you well, though as you are now essentially immortal, I would guess that wellness on your part is something of a given." So this first letter, all these little things, like we had the death rattles in part 1. Part 2 is one letter to from Hoid to Frost, and Frost is a dragon, and so a dragon on a different world.
Wow.
So this is Hoid or Wit riding a dragon living on a different world, and so I'm gonna just go through the whole letter, because it doesn't make sense to just piecemeal it chapter by chapter and over weeks. We'll just kind of cover it, and then we can just touch on the aspects when we go through each chapter. But the letter, it's "Old friend, I hope this missive finds you well, though as you are now essentially immortal, I would guess that wellness on your part is something of a given. I realize that you are probably still angry. That is pleasant. That is pleasant to know. Much as your perpetual health, I have come to rely upon your dissatisfaction with me. It is one of the Cosmere's great constants, I should think. Let me first assure you that the element is quite safe. I have found a good home for it. I protect his safety like I protect my own skin, you might say. You did not agree with my quest. I understand that. So as much as it is possible so much as it is possible to understand someone with whom I disagree so completely. Might I be quite frank? Before you had asked why I was so concerned, it is for the following reasons. Addy was once a kind and generous man, and you saw what became of him. Race, on the other hand, was among the most loathsome, crafty, and dangerous individuals I had ever met. He holds the most frightening and terrible of all the shards. Ponder on that for a time, you old reptile, and tell me if your insistent on non-intervention holds firm. Because I assure you, Rays will not be similarly inhibited. One need only look at the aftermath of his brief visit to Cell to see proof of what I say. In case you have turned a blind eye to that disaster, know that Aona and Sky are both dead, and that which they held has been splintered, presumably to prevent anyone from rising up to challenge Race. You have accused me of arrogance in my quest. You have accused me of perpetuating my grudge against Race and Bavadin. Both accusations are true. Neither point makes the things I have written to you untrue. I am being chased. Your friends of the 17th Shard, I suspect. I believe they're still lost, following a false trail I left for them. They'll be happier that way. I doubt they have any inkling what to do with me should they actually catch me. If anything I have said makes a glimmer of sense to you, I trust that you'll call them off. Or maybe you could astound me and ask them to do something productive for once. For I have never been dedicated to a more important purpose, and the very pillars of the sky will shake with the results of our war here. I ask again, support me. Do not stand aside and let disaster consume more lives. I never begged you for something before, old friend. I do so now. So, obviously, Wit is there for a major purpose. He sees this as a purpose for the whole universe is at stake, not just, he's there to fuck around and make insults and fuck with people and that shit. He believes that what he's doing is important enough to the point that the universe is at stake. And he's dealing with a much bigger fucking problem than, their wars and that kind of shit.
The second part of like the what followed this first little part that's here, I read that somewhere else in the book. The I disappoint you and that keeps me going, whatever. I remembered hearing that. So
it's in the beginning of each chapter. Each part of this letter. So all of part 2
just split up. Okay, yeah, I got you.
All of part 2 is this like the part 1 had all the death rattles. Part 2 has all the little fragments of this letter.
Interesting.
I just put them all together, because if you read it chapter by chapter, it's easy to not realize that this is all one letter that fits together.
So Hoyd is like a Varys, so to speak. Like
he's definitely he's much more involved and knowledgeable and
he's more bigger picture
than you would think. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I mean, shit. Even just these it's a really interesting element that he also builds in with the interludes, but then also these preambles chapters. It's bigger world building. It's another element to lay into how the story's being told. It's these little puzzle pieces fitting that layer themselves out over time and lend more depth to the story because you're getting the preambles then leading those in to later stories. And it sounds like this, yes, Wit or Hoyd is in this story, and we hear Hoyd and Wit both in this book, and we know they're the same. They're the same character, but with this letter you're talking about, that's much bigger than this book.
Yeah, I mean, eventually you'll come to understand what he's talking about when he's like, because I assure you, Race will not be similarly inhibited. One need only look at the aftermath of his brief visit to Cell to see proof of what I say. So, you have to understand what shards are, who Race is, who Addy is, and all these kind of things. Some of them you wouldn't get from this series. You would get it from other Cosmere stories. But once it kind of goes through what a shard is and what where I could explain who Race is and that kind of stuff without spoiling something, then we'll touch back on this letter to kind of fully flesh out some of the things he's pointing at. But most importantly, it's just establishing that Hoyd or Wit is communicating with people on other planets. He believes that his purpose holds all, basically is the universe is at stake in his view.
And by the way, we talked about what a shard is. It's a unit of a shart.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. one tenth of a shard.
Jesus.
Or in this universe, it'd be more like 1/16 of a shard. It's all, if you get 16 shards together, that equals one shard. Or if you get 16 shards together, that equals
Shards
one shard.
would equal into a shard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should really break it down as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I forgot you fucking already nailed that on the head. Yeah, so I guess we don't have to worry about spoilers. But yeah, so then getting into the chapter, we get, today King Elhokar announced riding beneath the bright open sky is an excellent day to slay a god, wouldn't you say? So they view the chasmfiends, they believe that the Parshendi believe them to be gods. And so they're viewing that they're slaying, the Parshendi's gods is the way they see these events.
So I know like Dalinar and Sadeas and some of the other high princes, they sort of are in competition with one another to get the gem hearts.
Yeah.
So the Parshendi, it's more they're protecting the chasmfiends rather than trying to get to the chasmfiends first to get a gem heart.
They are also getting the gem hearts. Yeah, they want the gem hearts too.
So the idea that they're calling them gods, I mean, I guess they could still view them as gods because they provide power and energy and all that stuff. But I was going to say, though, that this introduction is a really great way to see the characters, because Elhokar immediately comes off as sort of, I don't think arrogant is necessarily the word, but he's kind of really projecting big event, what they're at. And then Sadeas immediately is basically talking shit with a little jab,
Yeah, and it's fucking it's great because you get like in this first chapter with Adolin, you get the dynamic between him and Dalinar, and him and Sadeas, that plays out through the rest of the book, of Adolin just not understanding his dad, not understanding what's going on with him. Like, why is he changing? Why is he, not fucking just all about war and fucking getting gemstones and fucking fighting and killing?
Yeah,
and he's like, why is he concerned with all this other shit? Why is he let people insult him? Why is he letting shit just slide off his back? Why didn't he fucking try to kill anybody who talks shit?
Yeah, he keeps wanting him to be the Blackthorn, right? He keeps wanting him to be the Billy Badass who takes no shit, and which is who Adolin sees himself as, and thinks that Dalinar should be that way because he knows the history, the story of his father's abilities. It's really cool too, because then Dalinar, we know, in his own mind, is having his own issues that he's trying to think more big picture. It seems like he's evolving to this more big picture person, but is almost haunted by like what happened to Gavilar, and he's haunted by the fact that he has to protect Elhokar, and he's not really fully, it seems like, at least the way I'm seeing it, is he's not really fully understanding where he fits at this point, right? He feels guilty about the thrill and shit like that.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what's a little short-sighted with Adolin, is the fact that, Dalinar was passed out fucking drunk when his brother got murdered.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Dalinar is the Blackthorn. Like, they talk about him as this fucking mythical warrior type guy, like the ultimate fucking warrior. And so he was passed out fucking drunk. Yeah. Yep, exactly like the wrestler. Same, that same mythical
Sadeas is
fucking
Macho
everybody.
Man.
Like, yeah, we all think of the Ultimate Warrior as the greatest fighter to ever live, and Dalinar is viewed in the same way.
So Sadeas is Macho Man Randy Savage, and
Nah,
Dalinar is Hulk Hogan.
Sadeas is more like, one of those managers that also fights. He's more like Vince McMahon.
Okay.
He's more like a
All
Vince McMahon type. Like he's kind of a prick, and but sometimes he'll get in the ring, and he's pretty jacked, so he's not like a total puss, but he's not an ultimate warrior.
So, and then I'll posit that Kaladin is Bruce Lee.
No, Kaladin is Hulk Hogan.
It's not as fun.
No,
I want to bring in another element.
No, you can't. Like, Bruce Lee is dead. Hulk Hogan is still a beast.
And then Rock is the Rock.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously.
Yeah.
And when people are talking about the casting for Rock, like, that is the number one person that gets brought up is the Rock. It's fucking hilarious. People bringing that up non-ironically.
That's pretty funny, man. But they don't say Rock; they say Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, yeah.
Try to be more serious about it.
Yeah. But yeah. So, I mean, if you're this fucking super badass fighter and you were passed out drunk when this fucking assassin white came through and killed your brother, and you weren't able to fucking do anything, that shit would eat at you. It would change you.
Yeah. I think that's an understatement. Yeah. And I mean, and clearly, yeah, he's haunted, and we get that in the chapters with him. And that's what's so great about, like, Sanderson, the way he writes these guys, is like Dalinar, Shallan, Kaladin, they're shaken, haunted people.
Yeah.
And we don't really necessarily, in some cases, we don't fully understand what has brought them to that point. We get it, but it gets fed to us slowly. But it's really interesting, man, because they're pressurized and they're pushed in these ways, and their anxieties influence the way they act. Especially like with Shallan, she's always overcoming these feelings of shortcomings, and trying to evolve, and does successfully. And then with Kaladin, it's just everything comes from a depressed state and anger.
Yeah.
Pretty great.
Yeah, Dalinar handles it, relatively well compared to, Shallan obviously is just repressing everything.
Mm-hmm.
Kaladin just goes into deep depressions, and he takes on the blames to the unhealthy levels, whereas Dalinar seems to kind of take on the blame, but then is like, all right, now how do I fix things? How do I not do this again? And so, like, part of that is, like, it talks about, like, Adolin wishes he could drink and that kind of stuff, and you see that throughout. But part of Dalinar's rules is, during the war, there's no fucking getting wasted when you're on fucking duty. Even when you're off duty, you don't get fucking blackout drunk, and that's part of that is because of the situation he found himself in. So like they talk about, like, well, is it really necessary to put, have guys check our flanks and that kind of stuff when we're out here on our side? The Parshendi never attack us here. And Dalinar's got to be thinking, like, we didn't think they were going to sign a treaty with us and then kill Gavilar the same day.
They did. Yeah, and it's cool.
And they weren't even at war. It wasn't even like they were at war with the Parshendi. They just made trade agreements. They weren't fighting. And then they just make trade agreements, and then on the day of their trade agreement, the fucking Parshendi attack them.
That's one of the interesting things that we get here with Adolin too. Is Adolin understands the things that Dalinar, how Dalinar would lead when Dalinar's not there. He's also questioning, why does he keep putting me in these positions where I'm the one that's leading? Like, what the fuck is, like, he's like suspicious of what ends up happening is that, Dalinar is going to be like, I want you to take over, basically, because of, his fucking fits and shit, his visions, whatnot. But again, all of those sort of complexities playing out is really, really interesting. I was going to say about Kaladin and Dalinar, they have those similarities as well, where Kaladin, once he's like the bodyguard, right? Once he's the guard for Dalinar or for Elhokar as we get to book 2, or I guess it's for the Kholins actually. He thinks like Dalinar does, where it's, any possibility, and then he's like any room for failure, he's overthinking all of it. I was going to say one of the differences with Dalinar, he's very much problem solving, but he also seems to be more realistic, while with his expectations and his approach, while Kaladin goes a little bit beyond the realistic, right? His expectations are, I want 0 dead from my units, which is not realistic when you're in a fucking bridge crew,
Yeah. But also like compared to Adolin, like they both have suffered massive losses from their own failures. And so their own mistakes have cost them lives. And so they take these things more seriously.
You mean compared to Dalinar?
Compared to Adolin, Dalinar and Kaladin both
compared to Adolin,
take things much more seriously. Like, that's why they don't take chances. Like even the things where they're like, oh man, like who would ever do that? In their mind, they're like, that I would do that. That is exactly what I would do.
Yeah, it ends up being like, well, that's the least likely scenario. So that for them is the most likely scenario then.
Yeah.
Because if you're thinking that's the least likely, then that should be the easiest or the most.
Yeah, if you're going to attack someone where they're unprepared, and so if you just leave a weak point open, that's where you're going to get attacked, and so you have to be prepared for all possibilities, which is impossible. But if you know of a possibility, you should prepare for it. And so, whereas Adolin's thinking he hasn't suffered the same losses that they had. He wasn't passed out drunk when his brother got killed. He wasn't, fucking doing the side carry and those kind of things and losing his brother and all these kind of things. He hasn't experienced those losses, and some of them, grave losses through their own mistakes, whereas Dalinar and Kaladin have experienced those kind of things. So it's a completely different, more innocent mindset, more naive than more like a fucking grizzled veteran looking at things. But
it makes total sense.
And we get that Adolin's he's older than Kaladin. It says he got his shard plate on his 16th birthday. That was 7 years past, so he's 23. And then we get that Sadeas has shard plate, but doesn't have a shard blade. And he's jealous of the fact that Adolin has one. But we get that we meet, like the first group of people we meet is, Sadeas. And then we get Dalinar, Adolin, and then there's Vama, who's another high prince that wasn't a shard bearer. Vama doesn't serve a large purpose in this book. I mean, he's brought up in the main aspect he's brought up is in a couple of chapters when Adolin sees how Sadeas and Dalinar kind of box him into a corner to get him back in line with paying his tribute to the king. Like he was starting to get out of line a little bit, and Dalinar and Sadeas work together, in their own ways to fucking put him back in line. And so it shows Adolin, while they seem to hate each other now, even though they used to be friends, why they seem to have animosity towards each other, they also seem to both be working towards the king's, benefit, doing what they have to do to protect the king.
The impression also early on is that Adolin, I guess for a reread of sorts, it feels like Adolin does seem to have good instincts, as he doesn't trust Sadeas. Although Sadeas seems to so mistrust. He sounds like a douche. So, like even when Sadeas speaks, Adolin's like unnerved by him.
Yeah. Yeah, and Dalinar, to an extent, doesn't, he has his problem with him. He just thinks that Sadeas wouldn't put the king in jeopardy and that kind of shit. He just underestimates the lengths that Sadeas will go to against him.
Mm.
And so, it's understandable because when you're reading through it, and at first you're more kind of along the lines of what Adolin's thinking, but then, you see Dalinar save Sadeas's life. You see their interactions. It seems like they are growing to a more better understanding of each other. And then it starts to seem like, and especially like when Sadeas doesn't, use the investigation against Dalinar. And it seems like that Sadeas and Dalinar are coming to an understanding and starting to become closer again, become friends again. And then, obviously fucking Sadeas was using this shit to set, Dalinar up. But Sanderson does a really good job he starts you off not trusting Sadeas, and then slowly but surely starts to build your trust up for Sadeas, and then fucking yanks that rug back out from under you. So where that payoff, comes in is right as you start to trust Sadeas, then he fucking, betrays the Kholins.
That's really funny because that's actually, I think, exactly what I texted you. I was like, right as I thought Sadeas was becoming a decent dude, he fucking betrays Dalinar. It's funny too, where I like the little kind of shot against Sadeas when they talk about. So they're just talking about the king was resplendent in his golden shard plate. Of course, plate could make any man look regal. Even Sadeas looked impressive when wearing his red plate, though his bulbous face and ruddy complexion weakened the effect. I like that. Like even Sadeas looked impressive. It's like those moments where I don't know, like if you. Kind of an example is like you make food, you make a meal, and someone says, "Actually, this is not bad." I'm like, "Well, fuck you."
Yeah,
because your expectation was I suck at this was what you were expecting. So now I want to spit in your food.
Yeah, Sanderson really establishes that a bunch of these dudes are a bunch of uggos in this chapter. He's like, man, if you guys want to do my book justice, you're gonna have to hire some unorthodox actors to play these roles.
I did see.
I'm not gonna be hiring all these fucking male model actors.
I did see someone put up a picture that they had drawn of Sadeas, and he was so unfortunate looking. Like,
yeah,
I haven't seen.
I posted it. Yeah.
Did you? I haven't. I don't know if I've seen anyone that looks quite like that. Man, he's an ugly son of a bitch. The drawing was super ugly.
Yeah. I post that because that's what when I read about his like ruddy complexion and all that kind of stuff. I looked for a picture, and I found that one of him. I was like, yeah, that's fucking perfect. Fucking Sadeas, fucking ugly, fucking douche.
He talks, or at least the way the narrator reads Sadeas on the Audible. He has a very slow and direct, and not direct, very thoughtful way of speaking. You know what I mean?
Who
Trying
does?
to sound the way they make Sadeas sound when he speaks. It's like he's trying to sound like he's very, I don't know, studious, or very. It's a very serious, thoughtful tone, but also like kind of domineering in a way, or like talking down to people.
Yeah, he definitely seems to have his fucking nose up and think everybody is beneath him. Yeah, he to me comes off as I'm the fucking man, and you guys are fucking should be my servants.
I really like, another good touch is most people who have shard plate, they paint it and they add certain things to make it look more, impressive. With Dalinar, it's just slate gray. It's like there's no paint.
He didn't paint it at all. He's the only shard bearer in the procession. Indeed, only one shard bearer in the entirety of the 10 armies used no paint or ornamentation on his plate. Dalinar Kholin. Adolin's father preferred to leave his armor its natural slate gray color. Few women had ever called Dalinar handsome. His nose was the wrong shape. His features blocky rather than delicate. It was the face of a warrior. So basically, and like he seems to be like this fucking big ass fucking grizzly bear type fucking dude. He sounds like, as far as a man is concerned, like a fucking butterface.
A butterface.
Yeah.
He's blocky. He's blocky. Yeah. He's got a little I don't know, little pig face.
A blocky butterface.
I like his nose was the wrong shape. So is it a rectangle?
Yeah.
Is it a trapezoid? Like he's got a pentagon nose. Like
if we come to find out, like Adolin's like nose is like got like fucking 4 crook. It changes direction. He's basically like got Owen Wilson's nose, but even worse, even more crooked. He's like, that is the proper shape. A zigzag. That's what you want your nose to do.
Yeah, I guess it's all perception, right? But yeah, his nose was the wrong shape. That's kind of the face of a warrior. Yeah, who knows? It'll be interesting to see. I mean, that's
what I'm gonna start telling dudes that like have really mangled faces. Be like, man, hey, you got like a face of a warrior. That's how I'm gonna. That's a nice compliment. I'm gonna cover my insult by making it sound like a compliment.
This is weird. I don't picture you complimenting on men's looks. Is this a new thing you're doing now?
Yeah, I just put it into my repertoire. Just start doing it. It's really working like gangbusters. Really lowers people's guards, gets them to open up.
Having people comment on your face. Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll see.
I like your.
Look at some reports
like your cheap
on that.
cheekbones and your fucking jawline. Really fucking impressive. Good job.
Good job.
Bone structure, your parents, man, really fucking nailed it.
Jeez. So what are you like a 42 large? Are you are you a large? Regular?
Oh man. Yeah, that would catch people off guard especially if they knew me. And then I'm like constantly sitting there talking about how good they look.
Very uncomfortable.
It's like, I don't think this guy's ever fucking given me a compliment on my looks once. And now that's all he does every time he sees me.
No, you were actually, I mean, if I have to think about it, you're actually quite good at pointing out something that looks completely ridiculous. Like, why are you doing that? That's a weird
word. Yeah. No, yeah. If you do something stupid, if you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing, I am the friend that will fucking save you from yourself.
Like a friend of ours who you hadn't seen for a while.
You're shaved his eyebrows.
Is no one saying anything? Or did you shave your eyebrows?
Yeah, I think for the audience, yeah. I come back home and I hadn't seen this guy in a couple of years, and I get back home and I walk in the door and like his eyebrows are like almost all shaved off. Like, and it was just a horrible job. Not even like he was like, it looked like he just like took a razor blade and shaved off half his eyebrows, but from the top. It was like, what the fuck did you do to your eyebrows? And I started laughing when I saw him, and I was like, hold on, you did that on purpose? I was like, that's a look. I was like, you have to stop doing that. Why are you doing that to yourself? Has no one told you?
You were expecting like he lost a bet?
Yeah, like he got so mad because I started laughing. As soon as I saw him, I just started cracking up. I was like, what is that? And then I was like, oh, you meant to do that. And I was like, hold on, no one's told you that looks ridiculous? It's like, you have to stop doing that, man. It's like, I'm not trying to fucking pick on you, but yeah, you look much better without shaving half your eyebrow off.
You know what?
I don't know why no one has told you this.
When you keep your full eyebrows, you have the face of a warrior.
Yeah. You used to have the face of a fucking warrior, and now you've lost it.
Bring back the brows.
Yeah. God, that was such a weird look, man. I don't understand what he was thinking. It looked like he lost a bet and he was doing it on purpose to himself.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the couldn't figure out the right ratio of eyebrow to no brow.
it looked like one of those things where like he was just like trying to fix like one little fucking hair was
Just
off,
kept going,
and then he just he kept fucking. But he wasn't using like tweezers. He was so it looked like he had like 5 o'clock shadow on the half that he shaved off. It was the weirdest look. Like so, if you're thinking like, man, it sounds like Dan was being mean. It's like no, I wasn't being mean. Someone needed to tell him like your 5 o'clock shadow eyebrows look ridiculous. Like you have to stop doing that to yourself.
There's
a fine line. Way anybody is looking at you and not being like, what the fuck did he do to his eyebrows?
That's a really fine line of like, look, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm trying to be your friend because everyone else that's not saying anything, they're not being your friends right now.
Yeah, they're definitely not. Everybody is talking about this. I guarantee it. They're just not talking about it to you.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. I'm gonna go back to the warrior look.
Yeah. Fucking let them fucking brows grow back out, man. Be proud of them thick, bushy brows. Or fucking have a girl show you how to do that shit right.
Yeah, or I guess pay somebody if you absolutely have to. If you feel like you have to.
Yeah. Don't half-ass it on those eyebrows. Apparently, I'd never realized how important they are to your look, but they are important.
Not until they're gone do you realize, you know what?
Until you see someone with mangled eyebrows, then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, they are important.
Dude, that's, not to go on a whole thing here, but Maisie Williams, the girl that played Arya Stark, she looks totally different now because she dyes her eyebrows and her hair, and I didn't realize how important her eyebrows were. But I don't know if she dyes them or just shaves them, but they're so light, like platinum white, that she looks completely. It doesn't look like the same person at all, at all. And also, she's also getting older, so maybe that's part of it. But it almost looks like she's on like a lot of drugs or something because she's super thin. It's a weird look. It's a weird look. But yeah, whatever. Eyebrows.
Well, and after that riveting eyebrow discussion, we get back in and we find out that Dalinar rides a massive black Rashadium stallion.
Yeah, we get some cool shit about the Rashadiums throughout the chapter as well, like how important they are and how prized they are.
Yeah, and like they choose their riders, so it's not even something like you can just go get one.
Yeah, it says a lot. That says a lot about Adolin, because Adolin has a Rashadium as well, right?
Yes.
And it also, and there's not a lot. I think we get, they say something about like there's not, I don't remember how many for the whole army, but I don't remember the number.
I don't know if they mention total, but the only two I can think of off the top of my head are Dalinar and Adolin.
Well, and
sure, other people might have them, but I don't know if it's mentioned of anybody in particular that's riding one.
Well, and it seems like with wearing shardplate, it seems important, right? Because it's freaking heavy.
Yeah. So
you need like a really stable horse, I would imagine, beneath you that can handle the weight.
Yeah, and for the battle and stuff, they talk about like the other horses were fucking panicking, and but the Rashadiums were fucking down.
Well, and you also get like Dalinar sends the horse. What is he? I can't remember the name now.
It'll come up.
Gallant. Yeah. He sends him away every time there's danger. Like he doesn't want the horse in the danger. It's that valuable.
But and then we also get Renarin. And it's, I know Renarin said, his voice measured, controlled. He always paused before he replied to a question, as if testing the words in his mind. Some women, Adolin knew, said Renarin's ways made them feel as if he were dissecting them with his mind. They'd shiver when they spoke of him, though Adolin never found his younger brother the least bit discomforting. It's got a, the way they paint him is, gives him like a Jeffrey Dahmer type fucking personality. But, the more you get to know him, he's not like that. But, the way they talk about him right there sounds like a fucking cold-blooded sociopath.
Yeah, they did. It definitely seems like there's more to him in the way that they state that. It's like, huh? Like there seems to be something more to him. Like what's being suggested there? I mean, it could just be he's kind of awkward.
Yeah, that's. I mean, when the more you learn of him, he seems awkward, and he's also he's in a family with Adolin and Dalinar are
Yeah.
his brother and dad, and he's got some blood problem and seems to have seizures and that kind of shit where he can't fucking fight, and so
Yeah, and it sounds like a lot of people talk shit.
yeah, and this is a warrior culture.
Yeah.
And
Which,
he can't be a warrior, and he's got two fucking massive warriors, in his family. So that would fuck with your head. That would make you self-conscious, and so, but he's also very measured and considerate when he's thinking of what he's going to say. But part of that is, he's also seems, to have a timid nature because of who his dad and brother is.
Yeah, that would be difficult. The expectations that others would have given, obviously he's with his ailment, so to speak.
Yeah, could you imagine like if you're in the Curry family, but you can't fucking shoot a jumper?
Yeah, that'd be a blow to take.
Yeah. You're just horrible from fucking at shooting 3-pointers. You're just fucking clanking all of them. Fucking Dell and Szeth and the fucking other one. Steph, yeah.
You forgot the best 3-point shooter in the history of the NBA.
Yeah. I was drawing a blank because fucking Szeth Curry fucking threw, because I said Szeth first. It threw me off on what Steph's was.
Yeah, it's funny. I go to the I play basketball quite a bit, and more and more I see some really strange deliveries, like really strange, like double pumps for 3-point shots. Like that's your normal shot. Like it's a lot of wasted energy. Plus, you get blocked easy. But my point being, it would be funny if there's a third Curry brother and he has the weirdest delivery, like just strange as hell.
He shoots like Lonzo Ball in his rookie season.
I'm thinking. Bill Cartwright.
Yeah, Bill Cartwright would be another one.
Actually, I saw a guy the other day that did top spin. So he shot with both hands on the side and used his thumbs to push the ball. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It was, dude, and I'm sure you'd be shocked to see a lot of air balls way short.
Yeah,
way short.
I'm surprised with fucking top spin. It would be coming up short.
So you're just working those forearms. So that's the main way you're shooting.
Yeah, but you don't understand. If I catch the front of the rim, that ball spins right over the lip of that thing and goes in. I got to hit it just right, though.
It's so strange, man. It's like it's all wrist and fingers, man. You're using the wrong finger.
Yeah. But yeah, so Renarin, he's got it tough growing up in that family with his limitations. But they start talking about, like it happened again last night during the high storm. They're talking about like his dad is having these nightmares. And so like he'd once been the greatest warrior in general who ever lived. And now people are talking about him behind his back because he's having, he's completely changed his demeanor. He's not fighting. And now during high storms, he's, there's rumors about him losing his fucking mind and talking in tongues and shit like that.
Yeah, and I guess, I didn't get it super clear, but it sounds like he's getting his ass kicked in terms of the gym hearts. Like
he's not even attempting, like we see, like he's not even attempting to go after him. Yeah. It's not even he's losing. He's not even fighting the fight.
But it doesn't seem like it. I mean, does it really make do they get financially compensated? Or is it just a pride thing?
Well, I mean, it's part of their culture. I mean, to fight to be the best. I mean, I
get that, but
they're a warrior culture. And so if you're not even fighting, people are going to be like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Little sissy man. And so you're, obviously Dalinar is not going after these gym hearts because he's scared. He's a little scared little punk bitch. And so,
Okay, but what's
he's not
actually
tough
happening
anymore.
is he's more big picture.
Yes.
But he's also kind of haunted by what's going on in these
Well, I mean,
during the high
mainly
storms.
he's not going after the gemstones is almost entirely because he thinks it's a waste of fucking time. It's like,
Well,
what are
see,
we
yeah,
fucking doing?
yeah.
It's like, what are
Well,
we doing here? Like, we
it
need
does.
to, he's in his mind, he's thinking, we got to fucking come together. I mean, he talks about it in this. So we got to come
Yeah.
together and unite and fix our kingdom.
Well, and what's really interesting is at this point he's not sure what unite them means, right? And we're about to get that, but he's thinking unite us together instead
Yeah.
of unite everybody.
Yeah.
And he starts to finally question, and this is kind of the soldier's dilemma, right? Is they start to question, wait, what is it? Why am I on this side? What am I fighting for? Like, what is it I'm really fighting? And once he starts to
Yeah.
get disillusioned, then it's like, ah, look at this fucking pussy. He's not even trying anymore. It's like, this is stupid. Like, this is pointless what we're doing. And he's thinking more big picture. But and that's kind of that internal struggle that plays out in through book one, where he's like, how do I deliver this information? How am I? And he talks about it with Adolin. And Adolin's, please don't say these things. He's like, please don't say these things to anyone else. Just leave it between the two of us,
Yeah, and
it's great.
They think he's going mad, and they're like,
well,
Dalinar,
he's not sure either, right?
Yeah, he's questioning it. He doesn't think he's going mad, but he's questioning it, and then he really starts questioning it when Adolin fucking straight up tells him he's going mad. But it was like Dalinar Kholin was going mad whenever a high storm came. He fell to the floor and began to shake. Then he began raving in gibberish. Often he'd stand, blue eyes delusional and wild, swinging and flailing. Adolin had to restrain him lest he hurt himself or others. He sees things, or he thinks he does. Adolin's grandfather had suffered from delusions. When he'd grown old, he thought he was back at war. Was what was happened to Dalinar? So they think he's going mad. Obviously, he's not. He's being brought into these dreams where he's seeing visions of, from the, their god.
Yeah, I mean he's linked in like Shallan, Yasna, he's that's one of the impressions I'm also getting is it seems like these things are now happening. It's almost like with Game of Thrones, the awakening that's happening, right? The comet across the sky, right? It's like these things are coming alive, right? And it feels like that's kind of what's happening here with, I don't know. I mean, because Shallan's slowly waking into it, I don't know. I don't see as clearly Yasna's, how she was coming into this and how quickly she had been coming into this, but it seems like things are awakening, like with Syl and Kaladin, and so it's like something's unfolding.
Yeah, there clearly is, because you have these night radiants, these surge binders, like they haven't, nobody alive had seen them. Nobody alive had seen these people. This is gone from living memory, and now we're seeing it pop up in multiple people. We've seen Szeth, we've seen Kaladin, we've seen Shallan, we've seen Yasna, we've seen multiple people with magical abilities. And so this is something that was fucking gone from the world. Then we have the remnants, like their shard blades and shardplate, but they've not seen, new surge binders.
Yeah, it's really cool that this is happening. He's struggling to comprehend. Now he's got to his sons have to comprehend, especially Adolin, have to comprehend what's happening with him as well, and then kind of play the protector, or wish Dalinar was more concerned about protecting their, his legacy, so to speak, his reputation,
Yeah, and we get, Adolin's conflict is he's sitting there thinking like, my dad, he's a living legend, and he reunited Elhokar. He went to war with all the high princes, brought them together. He's defeated countless challengers in duels, won dozens of battles. The entire kingdom looked up to him, and now this. So he's like, where the fuck's that warrior? Like, that's who he expects his dad to be. But, his dad's obviously trying to become a better man. Trying to become better than that, and not just this killing machine.
Well, that's interesting because if that's the prestige in the world they live in, then yeah, it's going to be hard to communicate why that's even a lofty goal.
Yeah.
You're not accomplishing what we see as the highest to accomplish. Remember, it's funny because we think about, or what comes to mind is that Kaladin as a youth chapter where it's, I don't want to be a surgeon, I want to be a soldier. Soldiers have the big stories. That's who people tell stories about. You know, those are the celebrities in that world. Of course, we're talking about farmers and whatnot, but that's the prestige of that world that he's living in there.
Part of it though is it's a little bit silly because, like, I mean, if you're going to Dalinar and you're like, oh, you little fucking punk ass bitch, little fucking weak, scaredy fucking punk, and like this dude's like a giant, and he's like, dude, I could fucking smash you. I will destroy you. Like, what do you do? Like, be like going, you know, like you going up and taunting the Rock.
What do you mean me?
Yeah, like 4'9" versus fucking the Rock, big as shit.
Yeah. Okay. No, I mean that is a decent point in the sense that he does still have this reputation. He doesn't have to fucking take every fuck. Well, that's what kind of one of the things I like about the duel I just read. It's like you picture like the Wild West and these guys that are, you know, the quick draws, right? And it's like, well, I'll challenge this motherfucker. So it's like always like, oh, you're gonna challenge the biggest, baddest dude, right? Same thing with like boxing or any type of fighting. It's like, oh, you're that guy. Well, prove it. It's like, well, why does he have anything to fucking prove? I mean, that's kind of where he's at. He's not even thinking on that level anymore, right? And that's kind of the point we're coming in at, is that Dalinar is now leaving that world, or has been sort of leaving that world, and they're all still living in that world of this. The prestige is the gem hearts, and you know what you look like in battle. But when push comes to shove, motherfucker tears shit up.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was gonna say it's also really interesting too, where he's lethal, but he's smart. And especially with at the chasmfiend, he has a smart approach, and he's trying to protect Elhokar, and Elhokar is a fucking idiot, right? Just going fucking nuts, trying to cover up for the fact that he doesn't have Dalinar's reputation. So let me go balls out and just risk everything, you know, and go right in, sort of fucking hot headed and stupid, you know, taking all the risk, not realizing what the cost would be, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and you know, it obviously it says something about their culture because, like, because Dalinar is such a big, strong, freaking dude, and for people to be questioning his courage and that kind of shit, and you know, his strength and power, like it shows like how much of a warrior society this is. Like, if you're not fighting, something's wrong with you.
Well, and to
the point, his own son is thinking that. I mean, his own son is thinking this.
Well, but what's so interesting about that is like, so it also becomes, what have you done for me lately? Like he has to constantly be doing this. That's
well,
nuts,
I mean, you
right?
see it like even like when Kaladin was in his homelands, he wasn't in the Shattered Plains, and they're still at war with each other. It's just a war fucking people, man. That's what they do. They fucking fight. Even when they're so-called united, they're not really. They're always looking for ways to fucking get an edge, to fucking gain a little bit more power and money and strength, and they like to fucking fight. Yalethi are a fucking warlike society.
They should go into paintball, you know?
Yeah, maybe fight. If they had paintball, man, they could fucking calm the fuck down.
Yeah, maybe
you guys fucking settle down. Fucking invent football or something.
Well, you don't have to settle down, be all hype, but just, you know, channel it into sport, and then just root for your teams, man. You know,
fucking start the NFL, and you can start, instead of, you know, trying to chop each other in half, you can just fucking go and spear someone with your shoulder.
Oh man, imagine shardplate.
Oh man, yeah, it'd be brutal in a football league. Yeah,
an entire like XFL of shardplate.
It's gonna be a lot of concussions, a lot of what is it, CTE or whatever it's called.
I mean the replays though, man.
Yeah, oh dude, yeah. Fucking they're eliminating the throw over the middle. That fucking play's gone from the fucking league. Fucking dudes be getting laid out.
Oh man, that'd be. I mean, just picturing like any sport and being able to apply it with these guys with shardplate, fucking zooming around, fucking leaping high as shit.
40
You'd invent new
feet in the
sports.
air. Fucking jumping like 8, 12 feet in the air.
Yeah, you'd be inventing new sports, man. And channel that behavior, you know.
But we also get, Renarin going to Adolin. He's like, I don't like how you get when you're around Sadeas. We have to keep an eye on him, eye on the man Renarin. Adolin thought. He knows father is weakening. He'll try to strike, which is obviously prescient when, you consider what the fuck ends up happening.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was saying earlier, where Adolin has clearly good instincts towards, and that's where his role is, at least the way he sees it, is protecting Dalinar. It seems like protect Dalinar. Play, he's got ladies, and he likes to duel, and he'd rather go drinking. But so Adolin's can definitely see what he's drawn to here.
Well, he's part of this culture, this warrior culture, and his dad's trying to fucking change the culture. So yeah, he's resistant to it, but he's also loyal. So he's conflicted. And he, to an extent, he sees, what his dad is doing. He sees the benefit of it at times, even if he doesn't like it. But yeah, and then you get when Adolin comes up to the group, Sadeas and the king are talking. The king's sitting there complimenting him on capturing gem hearts, and Sadeas, says, "Thank you, Your Majesty. Though the competition grows unexciting, as some people don't seem interested in participating, guess even the best weapons eventually grow dull." And just like he makes this fucking straight up insult to Dalinar, which is an obvious insult, but Dalinar, doesn't say anything. And so, Adolin's looking at it. He gets pissed to the point where he starts to hold out his hand to summon his blade, but then, picks up his reins instead, and storming man, he thought, leave my father alone. And then fucking, has to fucking give up on the idea, but he wants to throttle the dude at that point, and is pissed that his dad doesn't.
Yeah, it's interesting reading that the first time. I mean, it's quite clear what the dilemma there is, but yeah, and you start to see ever clearer as we proceed that Dalinar's kind of above all this shit, or he's just distracted. Seems like he's more above it.
Yeah, he's trying. Well, I mean, he's trying to change things. He's determined to unite the kingdom, and he sees that this war is doing the exact opposite of that, and it's also making them weak. They're losing people, and they're fucking been gone from their homelands for 6 years, so they don't control their own kingdom anymore.
Yeah, and I guess Sadeas, exactly what he's doing here is the opposite of what would be uniting.
Yeah, Sadeas is looking for fucking power. I mean, it's part of this is their culture. I mean, they united the semi-united the kingdom to the point of what it is today through war and conquest and defeating the high princes, making them fucking bend the knee. So that's what they do, and that's what Sadeas is just living that life still. He's just not. He hasn't evolved. He hasn't changed, whereas Dalinar has. And so, be a different story if Dalinar was, had the same goals as him and they were driving in the same fucking direction. They might still be, friends and working together to accomplish goals. But because they're going in opposite directions, Sadeas is not going to change and Dalinar is not going to change. So they were destined to fucking butt heads. But yeah, and then so they're talking about they're talking about the hunt, and Adolin, doesn't find it that interesting because it's just butchery. They just loft arrows at the thing, weaken it, and then go and chop its legs off and kill it. And so he's like, there's not really much sport to it. And I like, maybe you should have invited Janala along, Renarin said. She wouldn't have come, Adolin said. Not after. well, Rilla was very vocal yesterday. It was best to just leave. So like he apparently, fucking tried to double dip. Tried to fucking, he took a bite of one chip and then he fucking dipped again.
Yes, and he got caught by one of the I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds
chips,
like Rilla.
Yeah.
Rilla fucking blew up his spot. He was, on a little date with another girl, and Rilla was not happy with it.
So he just
He
cut
was
out.
like, "You've already dipped your chip in my fucking dip."
So, well, yeah. And Renarin says you really should have been wiser in your treatment of her. Sounded disapproving.
Yeah. Don't dip that chip unless you're willing to fucking commit to it.
I do like that Adolin's like, well, it wasn't his fault that his relationships often burned out quickly. Well, technically, this time it was his fault, but it wasn't usually. This was just an oddity.
It was his fault 100%.
I like that in his mind, though. He's like, well, okay, this time, but it's not usually like that. It's like, well, okay, well then it seems like it probably is, bro.
Yeah. He's over there, man. He's the guy at the party that'll grab a chip, put it in the queso, fucking take a bite, and then go and put it in the salsa, and then fucking mix the queso into the salsa. And you're like, motherfucker, man.
So
why would you
still going with that analogy? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what he's doing. He's doing that with the ladies.
Oh, okay. So
if you want the fucking queso, eat the fucking queso. Don't fucking go queso and salsa. You can't have both, man. We live in a fucking society.
Yeah, but he's the son of he's the son of the second hand of the king.
I'm super important. I can have both.
Yeah.
On the same fucking bite.
He's going for it.
Fucking madman.
Well, and what's great about it is he does all this and he's still got Jasnah out there apparently finding him some ladies. So he's still gonna get with a pretty eligible bachelorette as it happens. So Adolin's he's in a pretty good position, I must say.
Yeah, he's fucking king pimp over. He's kind of these fucking shatter planes.
He's able to have his chips and eat them too. I have his cake, but keep with the same analogy.
But yeah, and then we get in Dalinar's head after that, and it's like, unite them. The words whispered in Dalinar's mind. He couldn't rid himself of them. They consumed him as he trotted gallant across a rocky, boulder-strewn plateau on the Shatter Plains. And then
the first words in Dalinar's head we get is unite them. And then we get them a lot.
Yeah, and we get the king, Elhokar. They're talking about we need to scout the place, and he's like, we don't need fucking scouts. We could fucking just go do it ourselves, and goes and takes off. And so, the funny aspect of it is you see Elhokar in this scenario where he's fucking bold and brash and fucking risky and making big gambles and trying to be impressive and shit, and then you see him, in the second book, and you're like, this dude, when fucking Dalinar punked him, it fucking completely wrecked this dude's confidence.
Yeah, it's funny because I was saying that earlier before we were recording that he sounds so whiny in book 2.
Yeah,
and he gets owned hardcore by Dalinar at the end of book 1 in a absolute classic fashion. But yeah, you're right. It's funny now that you pointed out.
Dalinar basically took his kingdom from him.
It's like took his.
It's like you're king. You're basically now you're king in name only.
And his mom, and told him you're gonna deal with all this shit. And he nearly killed him. And he's like, I could kill you now. I could kill you now. I'm not gonna kill you now, but I could kill you, and we both know it. Yeah. So get up, dust yourself off. I'll run things from here. Oh, yeah, and your mom? Yeah, get used to that shit. We're hooking up.
He gave him the ultimate your mom joke. What are you doing? Your mom.
That's, man, that would be a hard pill to swallow. Elhokar is, I guess that makes sense, that he took such a
It would be
had
weird.
such a changing character.
I mean, like, it's easy to be on Dalinar's side because you're in his head and you like him. He's a likable character and he's a fucking badass, and so it's easy to like him. And Dalinar's kind of a whiny, fucking nasally, fucking
Elhokar.
whiny king.
Yeah.
Who did I say?
You said Dalinar again. At least I think you did. But yeah, Elhokar.
Elhokar is, whiny and he's not the same type of dude, and so it's easy to side with Dalinar. But then when you think about it, it's like, your uncle fucking, is hooking up with your mom now, and he took your fucking kingdom from you, and he's basically like, now you go fucking sit on that fucking throne and you just do what I say.
And also in the when looking at this,
but I'm doing it for your own good, which he is, but it'd be a tough fucking pill to swallow.
Yeah, again, and then also even on this in this chapter, and sort of looking at Elhokar's actions and how it seems brash to the degree of he's acting kind of stupid just to prove he's able. He doesn't fight in war, yet he fights in these circumstances, controlled circumstances. But then he's still taking risks that aren't even necessary. So, I mean, I guess you can understand it in the sense that, if you're in that position, how else do you show those underneath you that you are capable? And there's some pride that's involved there, and I guess he's also probably just having fun and whatnot. But it does read as if on its surface you can also look at it and be like, he's compensating, and he's very what's the word there? I don't know. Has inadequacy issues.
Yeah, he definitely does, and understandably, his dad's King Gavilar, who fucking united all these people, conquered this kingdom, and brought all these people together, and now you're replacing him because he was murdered. It's not like you fucking earned your spot the same way his dad did. You're just filling into his shoes, and you're filling into a giant's shoes. His dad is a legendary fucking figure in their history. So it's similar to the problem Renarin has. He's not the warrior that his dad and brother is, but he's in their family. And Elhokar is not the warrior of his dad or his uncle or even his cousin, but he's king.
Yeah.
And you're in a war, fucking a massive fucking kingdom of warriors who only respect warriors.
Yeah.
So that would drive you to try to prove yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, to what we were saying earlier, it says only a dozen men in all of the war camps were so fortunate to have a Rashadium.
Yeah.
So that's fuck, man. A dozen out of thousands. It says all the war camps.
Yeah,
war camp
many thousands.
Yeah.
And so we also we start to learn the capabilities of the shardplate in this chapter, because in the beginning we see Gavilar fighting with shardplate, but we don't really we're not in his head, so we're not really understanding the exact capabilities. We see Gavilar punch Szeth in the jaw and fucking shatter his jaw, so we know there's power behind it, but male gauntleted fist would fucking shatter someone's jaw. So but this is a different level, and we get when they're running to the plateau, it says Dalinar leaped, plate assisted legs propelling him up some 8 feet, and grabbing a handhold in the stone. With a heave he pulled himself up, the plate lending the strength of many men. The thrill of contest began to rise within him. It wasn't nearly as keen as the thrill of battle, but it was a worthy substitute. So we get a couple things there. We get the shard plate enhancing his strength and his athleticism to massive degrees. And then we're hearing about the thrill for the first time, because that's obviously this dude always gets a thrill up his leg every time he's in a battle. It's where it starts. The thrill starts up your leg.
The importance of the thrill is also emphasized by it's capitalized.
Yeah.
When they mentioned the thrill of contest, it's capitalized. Thrill is capitalized, and the thrill of battle is capitalized. And then they do talk about it as where it's like an intoxication. And I kind of get that feeling with Kaladin, right? Where it's like it's like an entrancing intoxication that kind of takes over, and I feel like although it might be more.
He doesn't seem to get it. It seems it does, like the way Adolin and Dalinar talk about it is like this fucking bloodlust, this desire to destroy. Like Kaladin doesn't really ever seem to have that. Like he seems. I
guess
to be,
what I mean is when he zones in,
he's like, yeah, but he definitely gets in his zone, but it's not about destroying. His is more like being one with movement and the wind and that kind of thing. And
you know
like
what it is? I just realized. You remember NBA Jam? He's heating up.
Yeah, yeah.
He's on fire. Remember that? Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Boom.
He gets in the zone. Yeah, it's like hitting fucking 3 straight shots in NBA Jam.
Well, and not only that, the net burns up when the ball goes in. That's important.
Yep. Yeah. That's exactly what Kaladin does. We just don't never see him dunk, so we're just not seeing it. But that's exactly what would happen.
He's like Steve Kerr.
That's the exact magical power. He took it from NBA Jam. It's just there's no basketball goals, so we don't ever get to see it. But yeah, and then so and you also get that the gauntlets covered his hand, but the ancient armor somehow transferred sensation to his fingers. It was as if he was wearing a thin leather glove. So it's not only that they enhance your abilities and stuff. Like if you to have gauntlets, but it feels like just a thin glove, that would be a major advantage in a battle.
Yeah, that's huge.
They still have the dexterity of your fingers, but still have a gauntlet.
Yeah, these are. It is to a massive degree unfair.
Yeah,
the shardplate is so huge, and then I think I don't know if it's here, but they even talk about the translucency of it is huge because your vision isn't cut down, even though all you have is like a little slit where someone could get in, which that is important to us in the future, but it doesn't restrict their ability to see because it's translucent as well.
Yeah. It's like looking through like dirty glass. But yeah, it's a massive advantage, and like you can go up there and you can fucking hack at the dude, but it's gonna take many hacks to fucking break the shard plate, and it would be extremely difficult to kill a guy that is has that enhanced athletic ability and strength and dexterity, and then you put a shard plate in his hand too, a shard blade in his hand too, and it's ridiculous. Fucking over.
It's completely ridiculous. Now it's a one-man army, and that's literally what we see with Dalinar, with Adolin, and with the fact that Kaladin can do what he can do without it, is absolutely insane. And that's how people see it. They see him, and it's like, what in the fuck, man, is he capable of? It's man, those chapters are great. That what is it, part 4? Man.
Yeah, and we've seen Szeth. I mean, he doesn't have shard blade. Yeah. He's just got the shard blade, and even though Gavilar got in one good shot and broke his jaw, but outside of that, fucking Szeth was kicking his ass.
I mean, there were those times that he got in close, but with the surge binding combined with just how quick and able he's able, and how he's able to, would you say, wind running, and that combination of things, and how quickly he's able to apply them all, it's insane. I mean, it's so great to read too. And then combine that with fighting just normal soldiers, they don't have a chance, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and then so Dalinar lets he's about to win, and then he thinks unite them. Then he hesitates and lets his nephew win, which shows you how I mean that to an extent that is you're you're trying to build up your nephew's self-confidence, but it also shows that he doesn't think very highly of him.
Well, there's also something. It seems like there's something more there too, because he does think unite them. He hesitated, not quite certain why, and let his nephew get ahead. So it does also feel like to me there's something else. There's something else at play within Dalinar that's stopping him.
And it talks about the thrill saying in him. He'd reached the goal determined to win, and then he stops. And so I think that's what's worn at him. His desire to unite people, to build everybody else up, versus the thrill pushing him to fucking take his own glory.
That reminds me. So later, as he's getting the thrill, he gets nauseous.
Yeah.
Right? He starts getting these feelings inside of him. It's really interesting how these things get weaved throughout the world, because with Kaladin it would be like Syl would intervene, right? Or it'd be, with Shallan, she's having these visions and whatnot. I feel like that. He hesitated, not certain why, let his nephew get ahead. There's a plan overall in his mind, and he's adhering to it. But then it also feels like there's something in it within him that is making him act differently than his instincts would propel him forward.
Yeah, it definitely seems he's changing. Like, instead of embracing this thrill, this desire to your own self-glory and to fucking dominate and to crush and destroy and win, and the things he's doing with the way of kings in these code of conducts and these kind of things are changing him to where he's losing the thrill, and it's turning it's like turning him off. He's getting nauseous when he's in it.
And he seems to be more cognizant of the dead bodies around him.
Yeah.
He's seeing like the gore rather
than and even here's like just a smaller example of that. Instead of taking the win for himself, he starts thinking about what it would mean for his nephew to win, and that his nephew might need the win. But it also, if you're letting someone win, it's because you want to manipulate them. And so even if it's, manipulating them for their own benefit, I mean, that's basically what you're doing. It's a sign of,
still
I don't fully respect this fucking person.
Yeah.
The best thing to think that they can't fucking handle a loss.
Well, the best thing to do is tell them that you let them win.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really healthy for everybody.
Yeah.
That makes you look better.
Yeah, it does.
That makes them feel better.
I totally could have won. It would have been easy, but I wanted you to get the win and feel good about it. But then after you got the win, I reconsidered, and I want you to feel bad about the win. So I'm pulling it back.
So not
letting
only
you know that had I wanted to, I could have won. I just didn't want to.
It's a great move, because not only do they not feel good about the win, they now don't like you as much as they did prior to that.
Yeah. You're kind of a fucking dick. It's like,
You're a shallow
I wanted
piece
you
of
to
shit.
win,
Okay.
but then I saw like how good you felt about it, and I saw those glory sprint, and now I want to take that back from you.
I saw you happy, and I realized, man, I don't like you. So then I realized I'd rather see you unhappy than happy.
I've miscalculated my own feelings. I thought I liked you, but I really don't.
Oh, man.
But apparently Dalinar likes him because he didn't do that.
No, yeah.
Yeah. And so then
the triumph and joy in Elhokar's face brought a smile to Dalinar's lips. The younger man needed victories these days. Even little ones would do him good. And then, he got his glory sprint. Yay! That's what they sound like, right?
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
Good job.
You're
Monty Python?
One. You're number one.
Remember Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and every time they'd like move to the next thing, it was like
they're all shaped in foam fingers. They're all number one foam fingers.
They're all foam fingers that say
Elhokar.
Yeah, I like it. That should definitely be.
God, man,
that is definitely how you put it in the show.
Sanderson, 100% do that in the show, like, and just wait for everybody to flip the fuck out Like, what the fuck is that? It's like, what? I thought that represented them best.
Yeah, foam fingers, Elhokar, he's our man. He can't. Fucking cheerleaders. They're literally cheerleaders doing like backflips and human pyramids on his shoulders.
Fucking foam finger shaped cheerleaders.
Oh man. Wouldn't it be great? I mean, just to like have the budget to make multiple versions. Like you don't really want to do that, but you kind of want to do that just to piss a bunch of people off.
You put that in the preview just to throw everybody off. Like, hold on. What the fuck was that? That's glory. That's what they did to Glory Sprint. This show's gonna suck. Like, no, just give it a chance.
They have the budget to get Will Ferrell and whoever the chick was, I can't remember, Sherry O'Terry to do that old cheerleader bit.
Yeah, they're like the master fucking Glory Sprints. They're the leaders.
I love it.
They'd be good for a music sprint. So when people play music, they pop up and fucking join in.
Maybe Glory, or maybe Honor Sprint, right? Really?
No, like you remember, like wasn't it Will Ferrell and her that did he played the piano and like it was, or maybe it was like Molly Shannon or someone was his wife, but like Will Ferrell and her would like do the singing.
It was Molly Shannon. Yeah, they were like a church group.
Okay, so I guess Will Ferrell and Sherry O'Terry can do the fucking Glory Sprint, and
so it's gonna be a lot of Will
Molly
Ferrell.
Shannon. And he plays. He's Kaladin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we already cast him as Kaladin in one of the episodes.
Did we?
Yeah, we cast him as Kaladin, and he's playing a 19-year-old.
Oh, that's right.
People are going up to him and like you. Like when he's sitting there, like, talking about his experience, like, well, you can't be more than 17.
And we just put rouge on his cheeks.
Yeah.
Just give him rosy cheeks, and he's like, ee. Just shine him up. And it's like, yeah, look how young he is.
Yeah.
The whole audience is like, this is fucking ridiculous.
Everybody is talking about how young he looks. Oh, man, if we would make this adaptation, it would be so good. It would be so good. Everybody would be so happy with it.
Oh, man. But, yeah, and you just play it straight. Even though which makes it more absurd, which is great. They really were taking this seriously? What the hell?
Yeah, and also, one aspect we get here is, Dalinar looked up, and from this height, he could scan a large swath of the Shattered Plains, and he had an odd moment of familiarity. He felt as if he'd been atop this vantage point before, looking down at a broken landscape. The moment was gone in a heartbeat. So he's standing up there, and then it's a few pages later then we realize like this is from a dream that he has where he was looking down on Kolinar, and it was in a past event where Kolinar was like fucking destroyed, and he was looking down on the fucking wreckage of Kolinar, and so when he's standing on top, that's what it brings him back to. It takes him a second to realize what it was, but that we find out a few pages later that's what it was. It's from his dreams.
Oh yeah,
which is an interesting way to do it because if you're going through it for the first time, then it makes it seem like these dreams are about what he's going through, that they're not real things, they're not real events, real past events, they're metaphorical or an allegory or something along those lines to teach him something instead of actual real life past events.
Yeah, and then he has to come to the realization that he's not actually there. Well, he's there embodied in someone else. He doesn't have the ability to speak, right?
Well, he does have the ability to speak. It's just he could talk to the other players, but they're not real. They're basically like it's like a computer program. He's basically in the Matrix, and then like the creator of this Matrix will pop in and read a recorded message to him and he thinks he can talk to it for the longest time, but it's just a recording.
Well, yeah, I guess that's what I meant. I thought what he is saying is not heard by the other players, right? It's more like
it's heard by the other characters that the fucking god created. He created it, but they're not real life people. I mean, they're past. But he can interact with them.
It's like a reenactment of past events.
Yeah, but like he talks to his wife, he talks to Radiance and stuff, has conversations with them, and they're responding to what he's saying. He can talk to these people, and it's just that the god figure is when he shows up at the end and is reading. It's a recorded message. He can't have a conversation with God, but he can have a conversation with the other NPC characters in the dreams. They'll interact with him and have conversations with him and react based on what he is saying, but they're not real life people. They're just creations. They're non-player characters that can react to what he is saying. Whereas the creator of the dream, he cannot interact with him because the creator of the dream is not there. It's a recorded message.
Got it.
So then, he talks about like I felt like a youth again chasing after your father on some ridiculous challenge. Elhokar's lips tightened to a thin line and the glory sprint faded away. Mentioning Gavilar soured him. He felt others compared him unfavorably to the old king. Unfortunately, he was often right. Bah, you worry too much, Uncle. The Parshendi haven't attacked this close to our side of the plains in years. I love that aspect of it is like this, you're a worrywart. And it's like, dude, what happened to your dad? What happened to your dad? Like, they fucking killed him in the most unexpected way imaginable. That we had not been at war. We signed a treaty. We're at a party. And they just fucking kill him out of nowhere. We have no idea why they did it. So what are you talking about? Like, they haven't done this in a long time, so now we don't need to worry about it.
It's really funny how he seems to be extraordinarily fearful of assassins coming, but not when he's out and about.
Yeah.
Right. When he's out and about, it's like, bring it on. Oh, nobody's coming. We're all good here. But then when he's alone in his rooms, now he's like, assassins are at every corner.
He's that fucking Billy Badass, when the lights are on and shit.
Back.
And like,
hold me back.
But
hold me back.
Yeah, like if he's going, he's like, has to turn the light off before he goes to bed and shit, and then he like sprints and jumps to his bed so the monsters don't reach out and grab his legs.
What I was also thinking is he's that guy that goes out and then he's like, hold me back. Hold me back. When he's like, dude, you can go right there. No one's holding you. But he's like acting like he's being held. Like,
no, I literally mean hold me back, please.
Don't let me get in this, man.
Preferably standing in front of me while you do it. Yeah, and Dalinar calls him out on that. He's like, well, you seemed worried about your safety 2 nights ago. Elhokar sighed audibly. How many times must I explain this to you, Uncle? I can face enemy soldiers with blade in hand. It's what they might send when we're not looking, when all is dark and quiet, that you should be trying to protect me. And he said, I'm sorry, and Dalinar thinks, I'm sorry, brother, he thought, as he did every time he thought of the night when Gavilar died alone without his brother to protect him. Which obviously that moment fucked with his head and has dramatically changed who he is. But then we get a nice little nugget here from Elhokar. He goes, you did, what did you discover? Because Dalinar tells him he's been looking into, what he had talked about. And so he goes, you did, what did you discover? Not much, I'm afraid. There were no traces of trespassers on your balcony, and none of the servants reported any strangers in the area. There was something watching me in the darkness that night. If so, they haven't returned, Your Majesty, and they have left no clues behind. And so this is brought up a couple times in this book. Like there's another time where he says he saw these weird creatures with misshaped heads, looking at him through the mirror. And so he mentions this multiple fucking times, which sounds, very similar to what Shallan was fucking going through.
Yeah, pattern, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. So he's basically he's connected. He's a connected guy.
He's a made man.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. In their world, right? He's like I don't know if it's the Radiance. I don't know exactly how to label it.
Yeah, he's basically like, Christopher in The Sopranos before he was a made man.
Okay.
He's done. He's a king. He's in a good position, but he hasn't become a made man yet.
Okay.
But no, I mean, like that's. I'm not gonna tell you, what I know, but
Gotcha.
I mean, I'm just giving you that piece of information so you can fucking, when you're reading shit, you can pay attention. Mm-hmm. Because those clues, and these are clues that have already come up that you've read.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's something. Yeah, that's interesting because that's something that I guess that's something I hadn't really considered in terms of like what he's seeing. I hadn't remembered. It hadn't stood out enough in my mind that he.
It also changes your perspective when you're thinking about Elhokar and they're like fucking paranoid idiot, and it's like, well, if you saw what Shallan saw, fucking looking at you in the mirror at night with the fucking lights out, you turn the lights off and you fucking see these fucking creatures looking at you through the mirror, you would freak out too.
That might make me jump into my bed.
Like you would. You would be worried about these fucking weird creatures grabbing your legs. So yeah, you definitely would be jumping into your bed at night, pulling the covers over your head. Yeah,
that's definitely the image. They have it in this.
Someone needs to get that dude a nightlight for sure.
It's actually the nightlight. This is like the first after the maps and the book I have. The first page, the literal first page, has glyphs. Second page is a map, and then the third is a picture of basically 3 of those pattern-like figures, with all the crazy geometric patterns coming out of what would be a face.
Yeah,
and they have all the angular, like priest-looking clothing. Yeah, interesting. So Elhokar's a made guy. All right.
Yes.
He's one of us, I guess. Isn't that how they say it? He's
basically like me and you.
Okay.
And yeah, if he was in our world, he would definitely be, higher echelon, like doing like podcasts like us, higher echelon people.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. We're in the higher echelon. Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. I mean, I already knew that. I didn't know that was why, but okay.
Yeah, that is why. That was why. But yeah, and so then he talks about, the Parshendi raids had grown less bold during the years of fighting. Alethi scribes guessed their numbers were 3/4 their prior strength. It was difficult to judge, but the king's present might be enough to entice them into a reckless attack. So they're estimating that 1/3 of their force have been wiped out. And then he's talking, he starts thinking about his vision. He's like, that's it. He thought, I did stand atop a formation like this. It happened during one of my visions, the first one. You must unite them. The strange booming words it told me. You must prepare, build your people a fortress of strength and peace, a wall to resist the winds. Cease squabbling and unite. The Everstorm comes. So he's got messages telling him, stop fighting, stop squabbling, unite. The Everstorm comes. And high storms are obviously a momentous, occurrence in their fucking lives. It's a constant threat. And then this guy is mentioning something called the Everstorm comes. So that would be an ominous warning when you're dealing with high storms and someone's like, this is the Everstorm.
Damn. So they're crazy ass high storms and Everstorm. I mean, I wonder how long that would last. That'd be hard to navigate. What is it?
Like we wouldn't have any idea what it is. Like, what does that even mean? Like an Everstorm? Does that mean it's going to storm forever? We're going to get a high storm that never ends? Like, what are you fucking saying? So you when like stop fighting and unite, like is he like saying that there's going to be a storm that never ends? We got to fucking be prepared to fucking change the world? Or does that mean like there's a war coming? Like, is that a metaphor? Or is that a fucking like you would be guessing. You would have no idea what the fuck that means.
Yeah, that's a hard one because now you got to unite them. Build of your people a fortress of strength and peace, a wall to resist the winds. Cease squabbling and unite. The Everstorm comes.
And it's like, do you seriously mean that? Like, am I supposed to build a fucking big ass wall? Like, what am I? I mean, is this a metaphor or like, what are you fucking saying here?
Like, give me more clearly, so I can sell these people.
Why did you? You're like, ah, man, I got to give him this important message, but I want him to figure it out. I want it to be like a puzzle, a fun little game for him. Like, I mean, it's important. It's super important, but we got to have our fun too. We can't be all serious.
He's like winking as he says it. Like,
yeah.
I gave him a little bit. We'll see how he does.
Let's see if he figures it out. If he doesn't, it's going to be disastrous. But, oh man, will he be so proud of himself if he gets it right?
I think it's worth the gamble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love games. Yeah, that's when you're given a warning like that. Yeah, speak your mind. Say exactly what you fucking mean, dude.
Yeah, let's not mince words here. I need to know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
When is this coming? What is it? What do I need to do? And what should I tell these people? What do you want me to tell them?
But your Majesty Dalinar found himself saying he trailed off as quickly as he began. What could he say? That he'd been seeing visions, that in defiance of all doctrine and common sense, he thought those visions might be from the Almighty, that he thought that they should withdraw from the battlefield and go back to Elhokar. Pure foolishness. And so he's having these dreams and these visions, and he's changing and shit, but then he also knows, like, can't fucking admit, I can't fucking tell these people, because if they fucking hear me say that, it's basically, it confirming to them that I'm done.
Yeah, he's in a tough spot. That's it's so interesting too, because he can't even it's difficult even to confide in the people closest to him. Right? When he tries to tell Adolin, he's like, "Don't fucking tell anyone what the hell you just told me."
Yeah.
And then like he's still figuring it out, That's really interesting.
I also like this we go back into Adolin's head, and he's thinking about his girl. He's like, Janala loved ancient epic poems. Could he phrase the falling out in dramatic terms? He smiled, thinking of her luxurious black hair and sly smile. She'd been daring, teasing him while he was known to be courting someone else. He could use that too. Like, yeah, don't use that. Like, I don't know why you think that's a good idea, but don't fucking use that. Like, you did it too. Like, no. Like, fucking just take your fucking lumps on this one. If you got caught double dipping, fucking don't be fucking trying to, well, you were flirting with me.
Well, just go hard at one of them. Pick one and go hard and see if it'll work out. And if not, move on, man. You can't keep trying to go with both if that's what he's thinking.
Well, no, he's not thinking that. He's thinking, like, I can be like, like, you shouldn't be mad that, I was two-timing with you because you were trying to pick me up when I was already going out with her. So, you already knew I was with her. It's like, no, that's going to be a terrible fucking argument.
Yeah, I'm saying don't take that approach.
No.
Take another, but if you're going to choose that one, go hard without the baggage. Yeah, you don't want to lead in with baggage.
No, you don't want to, like, like, especially when you have the losing fucking score on a head-to-head battle, you don't want to fucking bring that shit up. Like, just fucking leave that shit all aside and try to fucking skirt that issue. Don't fucking try to score points on it.
Yes, that's what I meant by baggage. Yeah, you don't lead in with, like, pity points.
Yeah.
That's not going to work out well.
It's like, if you fucking cheated on your girl 100 times and she cheated on you once, you don't want to be like, you did it too. Like, you're fucking, you got 99 on her. You got an extra 99 on her. You're going to lose this battle. So if you want to stick with it, you're going to have to fucking find another angle of attack. But then we get the Taralar, what is his name? Taralar, something like that. Scout Lord was a gaunt-faced man with a thick chest and arms. From some angles, his head looked so relatively small on his body that it appeared to have been smashed. So,
nice.
Brandon Sanderson was like, he saw someone cut him in line at the grocery store, and he's like, you're going to be in my fucking books, you little fucking small-headed fucking, looking like your fucking head got smashed, you little small body little fucking punk.
Whole smash face?
Yeah.
Yeah, throw him up in there.
Yeah, that's clearly Sanderson hates that dude because this dude like plays no part in the story. Like he just created a dude out of nowhere and then just shat on him for no reason.
Old Smash Face.
Yeah.
This fucking piece of shit. Which is kind of funny. Like give the whole description of Smash Face, and then he's here and gone.
Yeah. He's just like comes up to deliver a message, and Sanderson's like, "Hey, fucking little small-headed smash face, fucking little bitch." Like, damn, dude, settle down. This guy did nothing. He's just trying to deliver a message to Adolin. What's your fucking problem? But yeah, and then so like it says there was motions above. Adolin looked up just in time to see the king leap off the rock formation, cape streaming behind him as he fell some 40 feet to the rock floor. Adolin's father stood at the lip above, and Adolin could imagine him cursing at himself at what he saw as a foolhardy move. Shardplate could withstand a fall that far, but it was high enough to be dangerous. Elhokar landed with an audible crack, throwing up chips of stone and a large puff of stormlight. He managed to stay upright. Adolin's father took a safer weight down, descending to a lower ledge before jumping. Seems to take the safer pathway more and more often lately, Adolin thought idly, and he often seems to find reasons to give me command as well. No, you just constantly have that war in Adolin's mind on what his dad's doing. He respects the shit out of his dad, but he's also like, man, is this dude fucking losing it? He's having those doubts, but difference is he actually cares about his dad, so it's tearing at him, whereas the other guys are just seeing the weakness.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we definitely get, because when he sees what Elhokar is doing, he's thinking Dalinar would think this is ridiculous. Like he's being irresponsible in his approach. So like we can tell in a number of ways, Adolin knows Dalinar's approach. He knows how he thinks very well. And then the way he's seeing this, it's going down that same line of thought of, is he looking weaker? Well, he knows that to others he's looking weaker. What is this going to mean? He's constantly on the defense with it.
Well, and then like he doesn't consider like from the other angles, like when he rolls up on these guys and they're all fucking lounging, drinking wine and fucking relaxing, and he's got to be in his shard plate and he wishes he could fucking get all fancied up and fucking be chilling, getting drunk too. Like his dad is also the same guy that's like, be prepared to fucking fight, at all times.
Mm-hmm.
Be ready for fucking war. Be ready for assassins and some, these people to fucking try to come and kill the king. We need to be prepared to fucking go to war. So it's not that he's scared to fight. He's ultra prepared to fight. He's wants to be, and so prepared that it's like, it's stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And so he's giving him that. And so it's not that he's like, he should be considering that, because he thinks about it when he rides up. He thinks about the aspect of, man, I wish I could relax. And it's like, yeah, think about that aspect of it. Like you're talking about your dad's taking the safer and safer approach, but he's also being like, fucking stay ready for a fucking fight.
Well, and clearly that also connects to Gavilar's death, right? Where he's fucking lounging around drinking drunk, or straight up drunk, and his brother gets killed. Well, he's not going to let that happen again. It also made me think Kaladin would love that, right? That's what he's been looking for. He's been looking for Dalinar since the beginning of the book. That he's been wanting to get to that unit that he could get to. But even once he gets there, he's still second guessing, the reality of it, which is, that makes sense for Kaladin. That's who he is.
Yeah, and he talks about like he comes up and the other guys are talking shit about him, like chasing after the king again, like pet axe hounds nipping at their masters' heads. Shameful. How long has it been since Dalinar won a gem heart? The only time he can get one is when the king lets him hunt it without competition. So like, I mean, you see the difference between, like, they're all having these same thoughts. Like Adolin's having these thoughts. So it's not just these other men. It's just Adolin loves his dad, and these other guys don't fucking give two shits about him in that way. So whereas they all see the weakness, it's just, some of them are looking at it as an opportunity, whereas he's getting worried.
Yeah, I mean, what we're seeing is Adolin is a very reliable narrator of the situation, basically,
Yeah.
because he sees it clearly for what it is. It's being revealed to us through him, and he's basically telling us the way that everybody else is seeing what Dalinar's actions appear, the way that they appear to everyone else, and that's why he's worried.
Yeah, it's done well by Sanderson here because you're getting because you could, if you were just hearing it from the other people, like if you were in Dalinar's shoes here and you were hearing people talk shit, you'd be like, fucking idiots, they don't fucking get it. But when you hear it from his own son, then you realize, like, okay, it's not just, you know, people, stupid people or idiots. It's everybody in this kingdom is like, what the fuck's Dalinar's being weird compared to everybody else in the kingdom. He's standing out, and he's going against their culture, all their norms, and so it's doing this to everybody, and it's not just people who want him to be weak, and so they're just reaching for any little given thing that they can to fucking knock him down. It is even his own son is thinking these thoughts, and his son is not trying to knock him down.
Yeah, no, he's worried, and he's very cleverly delivered on Sanderson's part for the reasons you just said. It comes across, we see it in a much more fleshed out way of how this is playing out situational wise based off of the history. And Dalinar's not acting as he used to, and as is expected in their world. So it's which is great because it's playing off of what he just struggled with in remembering his dream. He's like, I need to move further in this direction. They're all going to push me in trying to do this, which is why, how big does this wall need to be? How thick? What am I making it up? He needs a hell of a lot more details and reasons to be able to supply these people with.
Yeah, they're not getting dreams where like some fucking god is sitting there giving them super vague fucking warnings of doom and telling them like, hey, fucking get ready. It's fucking coming. It's going to be so bad, man. Oh my God, it's going to be bad. Oh, you better be ready. Like, what is it? Like, no, trust me, it's going to be bad. Yeah, but what is it? What is it? You keep saying it. Explain what it is. Oh, it's the Everstorm. Yeah, but what the fuck is an Everstorm?
It still feels like, in a sense, like without the details, like you said, what is an Everstorm? Without all the details of what is actually coming to convince somebody to do something, you're going to have to wow them on the battlefield to such a degree, like we see with Kaladin at the end of book 1, right? His actions and being able to see it, people are going to follow him now simply because what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Right? Just that impressive nature in itself. It's not like you said, what is an Everstorm? Well, it's a category 7. If he could come back with an actual detail of, well, the worst high storms we get, think that's lasting for 6 months. That's what it's going to be. You guys ready? You want to build that wall now?
Yeah. But, he doesn't even know what it is. He doesn't even know if it's a storm, it's a battle, it's what is it? Like, he has no idea because the guy, it can be a metaphor, it could be literal. I mean, there's no way to tell.
I was just thinking how funny it'd be if, like, some dude comes in, like, Wit comes in with a bottle, and he's like, dude, this shit is so good, and it's Everstorm.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, that's okay. All right. Whew, I feel better now. This
like
is
a fucking, like, build a wall. Like, you were talking about, like, setting up, like, a block party. Like, dude, you sold that in the worst possible way.
I can do this. Let's figure this out.
Yeah, and but I like the fact that Adolin realizes his dad is not weak. He's like Dalinar wasn't weak, and he certainly wasn't a coward. No matter what people said, he was just trouble. Like, problem is Adolin's like he's not weak. He's just losing his mind. Like, so it's like that's so much better, man. You think you're being a little saving him to an extent, like, hey man, my dad's not weak, he's insane.
Well, and that's why it's he's basically sitting there. Oh man, he's basically having to watch it all play out and just see how far it goes, right? And then they
Mhm.
strap him down in the chair, like, well, let's see what happens here. And he's mumbling and all that shit. But I guess he's just speaking in other languages. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, no one really knows what's actually happening. So it's like you just have to watch it. Fucking brutal.
Yeah. Yeah, and we also get another good interaction where Adolin comes up and he sees, Sadeas looking at him, and he's like, Adolin met the High Prince's eyes, smiling. Anytime you want to duel me for my blade, Sadeas, go ahead and try. What Adolin wouldn't get to get that eel of a man in the dueling ring. And so it's just a constant, and you realize, like, fucking, it's so great in that moment when Sadeas betrays them, and Adolin is just like, I fucking told you so. I told you. I told you that man was a fucking eel.
Yeah.
Called it.
Yep.
Like, that dude he is all about the I told you so. Like,
Yes.
it wasn't like, I don't want to be that guy. Adolin's like, I want to be that guy. That guy is me. I am the model for the I told you so guy.
Yeah, he paints it pretty thick. He's just walking around wearing a shirt that says "I told you so."
Never for the rest of the series, like, he's got it under his shirt. Fucking called it. Told you, told you, told you so.
He just peppers it into conversations.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, before I leave, you remember that? You remember Sadeas? You remember all? Okay, yeah. I just wanted to make sure you remember.
Anybody else have any, anything that we need to talk about in the meeting? This big kingdom meeting, and any more important notes? Oh, I would like to ask you, who was the person who told you so about Sadeas? Like, who was that? Oh, that was me. I told you so. Sometimes it slips in my mind. I like to be reminded that I told you so. Like, all right, dude.
He's not above it.
No.
But
yeah, and so, and they, they get to this, they're getting there, and they're just kind of waiting for the chasmfiend to come up, and they're, getting to their camp, and then, it says, Adolin goes off looking to get his reports, and it says by the time he returned, Elhokar was practically holding court. His servants had set up a small awning to give him shade, and others served wine, chilled, using one of the new fabrials that could make things cold. Just like this weird culture of these warriors, but they're extremely decadent too. Like, fucking, like, we got to wait to cross, some of these soldiers to catch up. So set up camp, fucking get out the wine.
Let's have some cold wine.
Yeah.
Eat some hors d'oeuvres, kick back.
As they're going to fucking kill this giant fucking beast. They're like, oh, let's get fucking drunk. Dalinar stood outside the awning, gauntlet in hands, clasped behind his back, looking eastward towards the origin, the distant, unseen place where the high storm began. Renarin stood at his side, looking out as well, as if trying to see what it was that his father found so interesting. And you get that picture of Dalinar with the weight of the world on his shoulder, trying to figure out this cryptic message. And then, Renarin smiled at him. Adolin knew that his brother, now 19 years old, felt out of place. Though he wore a side sword, he barely knew how to use it. His blood weakness made it difficult for him to spend any reasonable amount of time practicing. So it's another thing we get, because I always think of Kaladin, you think of him as being older than Adolin, but he's more Renarin's age.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought about that. The one of the last things I read was the two of them sort of butting heads, and then coming back to this, I'm like, wait, how old? So, and then Elhokar is like 27. So, and then Adolin. So I'm just kind of scaling it out with Elhokar being like 27. Dalinar's like 23. So Renarin's like, I guess 19, 20, something in there. Seems like. Or what do you say? Oh yeah, 19. Yeah.
Yeah, he's 19.
So that's right. That's right where Kaladin is, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the same age. Yeah, and you also get that, he's talking about how he doesn't want to fight these things, and, because he just thinks it's boring. He's like, this is stupid. Like, the things can't fight back. We're just fucking launching arrows at it until it's too weak to fight. And we're going up and killing it. And, Dalinar's telling him it's about tradition. But I like this part where Renarin's like, you're just smarting over the problems with Rilla, Adolin. Renarin said, you were eager a week ago. You really should have invited Janala. Janala hates hunts, thinks they're barbarous. Dalinar frowned. Janala? Who's Janala? Daughter of Bright Lord Lustow, Adolin said. And you're courting her? Not yet, but I've sure been trying. What happened to that other girl, the short one, with the fondness for silver hair ribbons? Dila? Adolin said, Father, I stopped courting her over 2 months ago, or 2 months back. You did? Yes, Dalinar rubbed his chin. There have been two between her, between her and Janala, Father, Adolin noted. You really need to pay more attention. Almighty help any man who tries to keep up with the tracks of your tangled courtship, son. Yeah, they're really, they said, this is why you think of Adolin as younger than Galadin, as they set him up as like he's a childish, like a fucking, womanizing fucking hound.
He's testing the waters, bro.
Yeah.
He's got ladies,
Yeah, he's a ladies' man. All the fucking women want him. He's definitely using his high position to fucking lay some tracks.
Well, it sounds like he's got the high position. He's got a reputation for dueling, although he's also underrated there. But it doesn't sound like he's got old smash face.
No, he doesn't have little head smash face or the odd shaped nose, block chin.
Wrong shaped.
Yeah, wrong shaped nose. Yeah,
that's a good one. I think that I'm also looking forward to using. Be like,
your face is interesting. Your nose, it's the wrong shape.
It's just not quite right. I don't know what. That'll ruin someone's fucking
It's not
day.
right. It's wrong. It's wrong. Like, that's the only way I can describe it. Your nose is shaped wrong.
The type of thing that not only will ruin their day, they'll never forget it. The rest of their life.
You see, like everybody else in here, like their noses, I would say, are the right shape. Yours is wrong.
Just staring in the mirror.
You're the only person in this room who has the wrong shaped nose. It's weird. It's interesting. Makes you stand out. Everybody's thinking about it.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, interesting. Makes you stand out. Those are good. Those are good ways to soften the blow.
I guarantee you, everybody who's looked at you has thought about it.
They're not going to say anything, but they're all thinking.
No. Yeah.
I mean, but you know what? It's fine. It's not like your eyebrows. I mean, those are real problem.
Yeah. That's one saving grace for your nose is those eyebrows. Whoa, man, do they take the fucking focus away from it? So, you want to go and try to pick up some ladies?
How's your confidence these days?
Yeah.
Hey, how you feeling? I'm just gonna go home. Play video games. Oh man. You have the look of a warrior, bro. Come on. Let's go slay these dragons.
Yeah, and so we get also Dalinar kind of tries to explain Elhokar to him because Adolin doesn't understand why they're wasting their time on this hunt and why Elhokar's out here. And he's like, Dalinar looked toward the king's awning. I know he seems odd, son, but the king is more complex a man than many give him credit for being. He worries that his subjects see him as a coward because of how much he fears assassins, and so he finds ways to prove his courage. Foolish ways sometimes, but he's not the first man I've known who will face battle without fear, yet cower in terror about knives in the shadows. The hallmark of insecurity is bravado. And
that's a great line.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Sanderson he peppers those in these short, 5 to 12 word sentences of just a really compact description of something that applies to our world, and that's a great one.
Yeah, and so it gave Adolin a new perspective on, on the king. It gave him something to think about as far as that goes, and then he also thinks about how can others whisper that he's a coward? Can't they see his wisdom? And it's like, listen to you, how much you doubt it. And you're his son.
Yeah, that's funny.
And so, we get the Dalinar talking about your cousin is a better man than many think him, and a stronger king. At least he could be. I just have to figure out a way to persuade him to leave the Shattered Plains. Adolin started. What? I didn't understand at first. Dalinar continued. Unite them. Supposed to unite them. But aren't they already united? We fight together here on the Shattered Plains. We have a common enemy in the Parshendi. I'm beginning to see what we're united only in name. The High Princes give lip service to Elhokar, but this war, this siege, is a game to them, a competition against one another. We can't unite them here. We need to return to Elhokar and stabilize our homelands. Learn how to work together as one nation. The Shattered Plains divide us. The others worry too much about winning wealth and prestige. So, and that's why he's not doing this shit anymore, because he's like, this game, fighting for these gem stars, is actively, against the purpose that I'm being told. This is actively, making it so we're not united, that we're opposing each other. We see each other as opposite sides instead of, united together.
They're just going to continuously drive them apart through the competition.
Yeah. And they're not, it's not about winning this war anymore. It's about beating each other and winning fucking gem hearts.
Yeah.
But
so it's like,
as Adolin points out, he's like, wealth and prestige are what being a Lethi is about, father. And was he really hearing this? What of the Vengeance Pact? The High Princes vowed to seek retribution upon the Parshendi, and we have sought it. Dalinar looked at Adolin. I realize that it sounds terrible, son, but some things are more important than vengeance. I love Gavilar. I miss him fiercely, and I hate the Parshendi for what they did. But Gavilar's life work was to unite Elhokar, and I'll go to damnation before I let it break apart. So, it's obviously he's worn with a lot more than Adolin's, thinking about. He understands that yes, you have a culture that's built around war and power and prestige, but it also, he's being told by what he thinks is God, telling him, you have to unite, you have to fucking prepare, something bigger is coming, there's a bigger problem. So he's being warned that there's something bigger coming, and that what they're doing is going to counter that. And so he sees it's a waste of time, but then he's trapped, because if he tells him that, then it's going to confirm to them that there is something wrong with him. He's not like an Alethi person anymore. Yeah. He's changed. He's not about that war life anymore. Something's wrong with him.
Yeah, I mean, it's the struggle here, it seems, is appearances versus actual goals or attainable, worthy goals. And what is Dalinar's mind is what is now worthy versus the old. And obviously, Adolin's still stuck in wanting the old. He's still stuck in that world because he's not Dalinar, right? Before, it feels like old Dalinar before Gavilar's death, or what's happening now versus like a morally concerned Dalinar. And it's kind of funny that Adolin's response is, father, if there's something wrong here, it's that we're not trying hard enough. Yeah, so it's like this idea of like, oh, let's just fight harder.
Yeah,
let's just fucking wipe them off, man. Get them off the face of the earth.
And he's not wrong totally, because it's like,
well, if that's the goal,
yeah, and stop the games and go and try to actually defeat them. We're not trying to defeat them. We're just trying to win gem hearts. We're playing a game. We're not trying to win the war.
But we also see that through the Parshendi's actions later, they're just playing a game. I don't know what their whole game is. I guess I'll find that out eventually.
They're it seems like they're is not necessarily a game. It seems like they're fucking just trying to fucking hold back, and like this is the lands they went to, and they're just hoping fucking to wear them down. Like maybe they'll quit.
A war of attrition.
Yeah, maybe they'll quit.
There's a few times where it's like, are they just in this for the attempts to get a shard blade or to get more shard blades? And then it just seems like, well, they're just holding ground because they'll retreat. Well, so then that would speak to what you're saying, is just hold the ground and be able to possibly eventually bequeath this ground, be left here, because it doesn't look like the Alethi want the ground.
Yeah,
so because I mean,
you think they started off, they used to attack the Alethi, it sounds like, and now they don't anymore. But the gem starts. Everybody needs the gem hearts, because the gems, those things. Stormlight is extremely powerful. It powers their magical devices, and it's more than just money.
That makes food. I mean, it's
Yeah.
how they get sustainability, especially at the war camps. Like they need it to keep the war camp going.
Like,
But
so,
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
that eventual question.
even if they didn't need it for their own purposes, maybe, you know, if they didn't have soul casters or anything like that, they would still want to prevent the Alethi from having them, because without the soul casters, the Alethi can't fight their war.
Well, what's really interesting, what I love so much about being able to look at this section after having read all of book 1, what Kaladin and Dalinar start also feeling is more of a respect for the Parshendi, for the way they fight, for who they are, for like, instead of it's just this faceless enemy, they become actual people to them. You know what I mean? So they start to respect the people that they're fighting against, and that completely changes the way they're looking at what they're doing. Although with Kaladin, not as much. Dalinar is much further in that direction, but because he's got these people talking to him. He's having these visions, so it's thrusting him into that direction. But it's a great inner struggle that we get delivered all of it, because there's so much in this chapter about, like you said, with the shard plate, with the way the complexity between all of these characters who are huge, with the Kholins and Sadeas and Elhokar. So all of this dilemma is all being delivered, along with just what is happening inside Dalinar, and that's gonna be fucking huge as we move through the book.
Yeah,
it's fucking great.
Yeah, and it goes, basically this little part of the chapter kind of finishes with, Adolin telling him not to speak of this publicly. Don't fucking talk about retreating. And, Dalinar is like, all right, man, I heard you. I heard your message. Fucking drop it. And that's, but it's one of those credits to his character that he does actually listen and take in advice and sometimes utilize it and learn, he at least considers it. He doesn't just fucking, I know what I'm doing. You don't fucking talk to me. He will listen to him. But then, and then talks about, like, how Sadeas and Dalinar used to be friends, but Gavilar's death has changed everything, and it split them apart.
Where was Sadeas at the time?
During the battle? Yeah, Sadeas.
No, during the death.
When the fucking assassin White killed Gavilar, Sadeas gave Gavilar his shard plate. And so Gavilar was wearing Sadeas' shard plate, and Sadeas was dressed up like Gavilar, and so they tried to trick.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So Sadeas tried to play the decoy. Though. Yeah.
So Gavilar's also ugly as shit, or Szeth just didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, someone mentions Gavilar was like, because Adolin in this chapter mentions that Elhokar was good looking, unlike his father, who had scarred chin and shit like that. Maybe like his dad used to look okay, but not after war.
That's funny.
It's like his whole chapter, man. He's just like dudes. Fucking, all the fucking dudes were a bunch of uggos, man.
You know who I just thought that could possibly play Sadeas? You remember the dude that was a huge dick to Jon Snow at the wall?
Thorn?
Yeah, the guy that trains him. I can see that guy playing Sadeas. He's got kind of a smushy face.
Yeah.
His eyes are a little too close together. I don't know if he has a wrong shaped nose, but
it's funny is we're in Adolin's head, and so Adolin's supposed to be pretty attractive, and so he's probably like, a 10, but he's looking at all these other guys and they're all like 7s, and he's talking about them like they're gargoyles. It's like they're hideous. It's like, ugh. Like, and all the women are like, what are you talking about? That's a good looking dude. Like, oh, look at his face. It's fucked up. His nose is wrong. It's like his nose is not wrong. He's just like, it's a normal nose. Maybe it's broken before. It's not got a wrong nose. What are you talking about? Like, dude, he's hideous.
That's pretty funny. Like his standards are just super high.
Yeah.
So everybody that's basically above average, he's like, oh, this guy's hideously ugly.
He's
He
just
doesn't look like
constantly
me.
walking around looking at himself in a mirror and like, they're just so ugly. And he's just constantly just looking at himself and like, man, god damn, I look good.
No wonder he likes Wit. Him and Wit, you know, they
Yeah.
can be hanging out, just
Yeah.
walking around brazzing on people.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of Wit, he pops up here, and so Wit comes strolling up, and I like the fact that he starts taking digs at Renarin.
Mm-hmm. I like the way that ends up playing out. Before you mention that, one of the biggest takeaways for me in terms of introducing Wit. Not a messenger. He's not a soldier, and they're on a battlefield. He's not coming up as a messenger. He's not coming up as a fellow soldier. He's not a light eyes or a dark eyes. It's like he has a category all its own.
Yeah.
You know, which is, I mean, that's, again, Sanderson knows what he's doing. It makes him stand out in quite an interesting way from the get-go, you know?
Yeah, and in the way it's, it describes him, like you get the, with the angular face and all that kind of stuff and the nose and everything. Like you if you were paying attention, you would realize that this is the guy that, the three guys were looking for. In the interlude chapter,
Oh,
with the three
lake.
off-world guys.
The Laker from Minnesota.
And then you find out from that note that they're part of the fucking 17th shard. They're part of that group, like he mentions in that note in the letter to the dragon
at the beginning of this.
Yeah. So you realize that's, if you're paying close attention, you could pick up that Wit is that same person. But yeah, so he I like the way he razzes him though. He's like, and young Prince Renarin. Renarin kept his eyes down. No greeting for me, Renarin, Wit said, amused. Renarin said nothing. He thinks you'll mock him if he speaks to you, Wit, Adolin said. Earlier this morning, he told me he determined not to say anything around you. Wonderful, Wit exclaimed. Then I can say whatever I wish and he'll not object. Renarin hesitated. Wit leaned into Adolin. Have I told you about the night Prince Renarin and I had 2 days back walking the streets of the war camp? Came across these 2 sisters, you see, blue-eyed and... That's a lie, Renarin said, blushing. Very well, Wit said without missing a beat. I'll confess there were actually 3 sisters, but Prince Renarin quite unfairly ended up with 2 of them, and I didn't wish to diminish my reputation by... Wit? Dalinar was stern as he cut in. The black-clad man looked to him. Perhaps you should restrict your mockery to those who deserved it. Right, Lord Dalinar? I believe that's what I was doing. And I like that aspect because it is the point of that is he's not mocking him and making fun of him. He's teasing him.
Yeah.
And trying, having fun, like, playing around. Like that's important. You can't be so sensitive that you can't fucking joke around and, talk a little shit and stuff to your friends. If you're that sensitive, life's going to be too fucking hard.
I was going to say, especially for someone who is sensitive, you need practice at not being sensitive or dealing with your sensitivity by having a shield of armor of humor.
Not only because you need to be able to joke around with your friends and stuff, but also you can't have this enormous gaping weakness where anybody talking shit to you is going to fucking, drive you up a wall.
Yeah, they'll never stop.
Yeah,
once they know they can do it, they will never stop.
And you're gonna fucking constantly be fucking losing your shit, and either crying like being a little baby all the time, or flying off the handle and getting in fights all the time. You're just not in control of your emotions. You're not in control if someone can fucking just say a few words and fucking flip your switch one way or another. Got to be in control of yourself.
That makes me like Wit a lot because it's showing that he has intention and thoughtfulness in his approach. He's not just fucking around, which is great, and I like that quite a bit. And Renarin even speaks to it where he's like, I find him unnerving. It's like that's the point. That's why he's doing it, bro. He's trying to unnerve you a bit in a way that is very innocent because it's just one guy, dude, and you're in front of your father and your brother. Like, this is not in public, So, yeah, I like that delivery of wit and kind of how he the role that he gets to play. Plus, we get a mention that he knows more than he should.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's little hints about him, and there's other big things too. Like we'll come across that'll bring up when it comes up in this. I think it's in this little section where he throws out little hints. Like he asked Dalinar a question that only someone who was aware of the bigger picture, the Cosmere. Like he asked him a question if he knows someone, and Dalinar's like, "What?" And he was testing Dalinar. He was basically asking him, "Are you aware of the Cosmere? Are you aware of other planets?" And he was basically asking him if he's a world hopper. And but Dalinar had no idea what the fuck he was talking about. So but like there's little things like that. Yeah.
What I really like, I mean, just for Sanderson's, I thought it was great. The king's wit was not a silly court fool, as one might find in other kingdoms. He was a sword, a tool maintained by the king. Insulting others was beneath the dignity of the king. So just as one used gloves when forced to handle something vile, the king retained a wit, so he didn't have to debase himself to the level of rudeness or offensiveness. Just the idea of that role is tremendous.
Yeah.
The idea of there's a function, which, I mean, Shakespeare's plays they have this function as well. The clown, or they had another name for it, that's his role.
Jester.
His role is to be basically what wit is, which is to say the rude and offensive thing, and he's kind of off limits. You can't hold him personally accountable, which is really,
they have an interesting rule. Like you can kill a wit, but if you kill a wit, then you lose all of your power and lands.
Wow. That's probably too big a price.
Yeah, it's mentioned in this first book. I mean, it talks about because I think it's when he's taught in Sadeas is when it's mentioned the first time, where it's like, you could kill him, but if you kill him in a duel, and you'll lose all your land and property, so it's best to do it in secret because the risk is too fucking great. But
and that's what's interesting, because if you're being insulted in public by this dude, kind of the point is to kill him, to show you can't do this to me. Yeah. You can't say these things to me. I'm above all that. So yeah, that's I like it. It's definitely a cool element to bring in. He's an awesome character.
But yeah, and then the guy that's laying down the trap for the chasmfiend, or the bait, comes up to him, and they're talking about, he's telling him, that they're going to need to shoot it with arrows for a while. And we hear that, they had they brought grand bows, large steel bows with thick strings and such a high draw weight that only a shard bearer could use them to fire shafts as thick as 3 fingers. They were recent creations devised by Alethi engineers through the use of fabrial science, and each required a small infused gemstone to maintain the strength of its pull without warping the metal. Adolin's aunt Navani, the widow of King Gavilar, mother of Elhokar, and his sister Yasna, had led the research to develop the bow. So it's the first mention of Navani, at least the first one that I can remember. And, she obviously is going to play a massive, massive role.
It's a hell of an introduction, man. I mean, she helped invent this thing, but then also she was an interesting woman. Things were never boring around her. It's a cool introduction to a character that, ends up being very, very important.
He does it. Rothfuss is good about this stuff, where you get mentions, like you get a little mention of Dalinar in the very opening with Szeth's chapter, passed out drunk. Then you get mentions of him in Kaladin's chapters, and then you're introduced to him. When Navani, you get a little sprinkling of her here just to kind of introduce you to the name. Just get them. They put their toe in the water on a lot of characters and just kind of introduce them, their name and a little bit about them before they're on stage, so that when they are on stage, you don't have to fucking, belabor the point.
She's great too. I mean, she definitely does stand out as a completely different type of a character. She's really quite interesting and intriguing, and she's very forward with her once with Dalinar, and I respect that.
Yeah, and so then
she's
we
not
also
afraid to drive to the hoop.
Yeah, no, not at all. And then we get, don't forget how mean they are when they're not pupating, talking about the chasm fiends. With one this big, use a distraction and come in from, he trailed off, then groaned, cursing softly. Storms take that animal. I swear, the man who trained it must have been daft. The crab-like troll that had been towering the bait was lumbering away from the chasm with a slow yet determined gait. Its handlers were yelling, running after it. Bastion, Dalinar said, his voice suddenly alarmed. Shouldn't there be bait on the end of that beast's rope? The huntmaster froze. The rope the troll was towing was frayed at the end. Something dark, something mind-numbingly enormous, rose out of the chasm on thick, chitinous legs. It climbed out onto the plateau, not the small plateau where the hunt was supposed to take place, but the viewing plateau where Dalinar and Adolin stood. The plateau filled with the attendants, unarmed guests, female scribes, and unprepared soldiers. Aw, damnation, Bastion said.
Yeah, we find out in the next chapter that this thing's fucking massive, right? It's like 30 feet tall, 14 legs. Like, it's an imposing son of a bitch. This is a massive fuck up. I mean, of massive proportions. That this thing is, it's where the viewing public are supposed to be. Basically, it's, if it's a fight or something, we don't really have equivalents in our world.
But, and Elhokar kind of fucks it up where, like, Dalinar is like, man, we should just get the fuck out of here. And, but it's too late because Elhokar is fucking running straight in.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's that insecurity, that desire to not be seen as a coward kind of fucking puts a lot, gets people killed. Ultimately. But we'll cover that chapter next week, and then we'll get into another Kaladin chapter. So we'll see him trying to start to take command of the bridge crew. So we'll get a little bit, further into those stories, but we'll save the actual fight with the chasm fiend for next episode, because there's so much, like in this chapter, obviously it takes a while to go through if you want to really dive into it, because there's so much between the dynamic of Adolin and Dalinar, and Adolin and Sadeas, and Dalinar and the whole Alethi army, and Elhokar as well, and
they're doing,
talking about all the Uggos in the army and all that kind of shit. It takes
whole
up
smash face.
Whole smash face takes up a lot of time.
Well, there's a couple things I wanted to mention that also he does. When Bastion is introduced, he's Dark Eyes of the First Non, which is the highest rank, which is even worthy of marrying into a light-eyed family. So even just that little mention of a guy that's not really going to play that big a role in the overall story. I don't know if we even hear about him again after the next chapter, because he's just there to try to run this show and does a real shit job of it. But we get that little piece, right? That he's a Dark Eyes of the First Non of the highest rank that could marry into a light-eyed family. Kaladin, I know he's in the second Non. What do you know? Like, his family?
Yeah, I think it was second Non, yeah.
So he technically wasn't high enough to marry the girl in his little neighborhood?
Yeah, I'm not sure, that because they were trying to set something up. They were trying to, like, maybe, a lower class, Light Eyes family that he could marry into or something like that. I don't know. They were trying to set that up.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's strictly forbidden or something like that. But also, she was all about him, like, winning a fucking shardplate so that he would become a Light Eyes. But
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's a big part of that. There was a part also when they described the pavilion or the little viewing area. They even had a refreshment station.
Yeah,
that's kind of funny. I liked picturing that the refreshment station is stocked with only like the most obscure sodas that we grew up with, like RC Cola, or just the whole array of Wildwood sodas.
Well, they got Soulcasters, so yeah, they can fucking, it's all RC Cola and Zimas.
A little some Jolt Cola for the extra caffeine, Mr. Pibb. Yeah. Or do you remember the Wildwood sodas? It was very regional to the Midwest. You could get them at Cub Foods. It was kind of like Faygo, where you could get grape like, lemon lime. They had every flavor of, like, it was generic Mountain Dew, generic, all this shit. It was all included there. Root beer.
And you mentioned like that guy did a shit job. I'm not sure that's the case because as we learn, Elhkar's armor was fucked with. His shardplate was fucked with, and so that the plate would crack more easily. So it very well could have been a planned attack, and this guy could have been part of it, or the people that were walking the chol for him, like, were part of it. Like, I don't think it's an accident, given that his shard plate was fucking tampered with.
Well, and then Elhokar kind of makes it that fucking great scene where Dalinar confronts him about everything. It sounds like Elhokar was even his plan to have his saddle fucked with, so he would be thrown off. So,
but he wasn't planning on his shard plate fucking there being a problem with his shard plate.
Yeah, so I mean, my natural inclination is something with Sadeas, but regardless, so you start to question, well, what else would be fucked with? Why wouldn't they want, or if it's a ploy, who knows how deep it goes, but if it's a ploy for Elhokar to look heroic, then how could he be more heroic than not just slaying this beast, but doing it to save a bunch of people in the viewing party with drinking their, Mr. Pibb?
Yeah. Yeah, but the fact that his shard plate was fucked with tells me that it wasn't a plan for his glory. It was a plan for his fucking death. And he nearly does die. Well, he only doesn't die because Dalinar is a fucking badass.
Well, that's what I'm also still curious, and Adolin too, but I'm also still curious about, well, how much could be a plan gone wrong versus,
why they weakened his shard plate. That is an attempt to make it so that if he gets hit, he dies. That wouldn't make you look stronger. Like he makes him look like a hero. That's an attempt to kill him.
That's why I'm saying I think it's a combination of the two, because Elhokar admits that he wanted to look heroic, so the saddle thing was his. So maybe the chol, or maybe the chasmfiend going the direction it went was his plan as well, but then someone screwed with his armor. So whoever maybe was in cahoots with it also wanted to take him out and exploit the opportunity that Elhokar created in the first place.
Yeah, the problem with that is they wouldn't have known Elhokar was, cutting his own saddle. He did that on his own. Like, he changed the saddle. He changed the saddle on the people who do his shit. He did that stuff on his own. Mm. So I don't think it's a case of, Elhokar was working with someone who, betrayed him, because it's established that Elhokar was on his own.
I think what Sanderson was doing here, he was doing the Jussie Smollett.
Yeah. I kind of was
the juicy Smollett.
Yeah, juicy. Yeah, Elhokar, man, he was trying to get to that fucking refreshment station and get a Subway.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think? Big Red? Remember Big Red soda? Or mug?
Yeah, you know why I said Subway,
Dad's
right?
root beer?
Like, that part of the story?
Yeah. He was on his way to Subway?
Yeah. 2 a.m. at fucking 30 below.
It's fucking hilarious. Such a hilarious, ridiculous story. Oh my God, man. What people will do, man. Yeah. For a little bit of fame and glory.
Fame, yeah.
Juicy.
But I think that's all I got on this episode, and we'll be back in a couple weeks with some more fucking Dalinar and Kaladin.
Yeah, I would say Vess Whistle Orange as well, orange soda.
Yeah, get some orange soda or something.
Add some more soda references for that refreshment stand.
Yeah, if you're looking for obscure sodas to fucking buy, Tim's really hooked you up here at the end.
I honestly can't. I can't remember the last time. I had any of those things. I can't remember the last time I had a can of Coke. I don't fuck with soda anymore.
I only drink I try to stay off of them because they're bad for you, so I only drink like a case a day.
You really cut down, huh?
Yeah, I've cut way back. Way
a
back.
case a day? Man, that is...
Try to drink my body weight in sugar every day.
Wow. I don't know if that's on the recommended dietary, you know. I don't think that's recommended for someone your age.
Oh, nutritionists say that's bad for you. Trust them.
Those conspiratorial nutritionists that say high fructose corn syrup is bad to consume in high quantities.
Oh, yeah. Smoking gives you cancer. Okay. Yeah. Don't believe that.
Just smoking hella cigs and downing cases of Coke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other high fructose corn syrup drinks.
I feel good right now, so.
Okay. Yeah.
Proof.
I mean, yeah, never mind the long-term, long-term costs.
I feel good right now, so far, so good. All right, guys. Fucking peace out.
Yep.